morning, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the new intro music as much as Ant and Paul did.
I thought it was brilliant.
What was air guitaring? I was breaking it all out.
Paul was air guitar, and I was having a little like, yeah, that was all right.
That's great, isn't it? Yeah. So the first thing I do want to shout out is Andy, friend of the pod, Andy, who did that brand new intro for us, and they've got a new one for our Premier League show on a Tuesday as well, which was really, really cool. So yeah, massive shout out to Andy for doing that. But yeah, I love it. Nice bit of rock to start us off, wake us all up. But of course, we are here to talk women's football as always, and as the international break looms, we're going to be looking at, is this actually a really good time for some teams, Villa, looking at you, to break, regroup, and just breathe, to come back after this break. But of course, I can never do this by myself. We've got the lovely Ant. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah, look, still gutted over the last minute lead goal on Monday, but that's for another day. So yeah, apart from that, I'm perfect.
I was going to say, we can't even focus on like the positive of the women's this week, can we? But
no,
talk about it.
Wrong time. The wrong week that I literally like looked at it as well. When obviously we've got that schedule thing. I looked at it and went, oh, hang on a minute, we've got London that week. Thinking, oh, I'm not going to be very happy, but it is what it is.
Exactly. Paul, lovely to see you. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Wearing red, white, and black ahead of Sunderland going to London City, and a hashtag as well, topical tag for this week. I was like, I had a Bunny Shaw one, and then I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go with taking the mickey out of the Kang Death Star, because why not?
Hashtag Kang average. But remember, woman of the people, Michelle Kang.
I have opinions on all of that later on.
I'm sure you do. And of course, Rosie is meant to be here. She's running late, but she'll be here as soon as she can. So don't you worry, she will be here. We hope anyway. Hey, we're starting off early. Aston Villa dressing room full of egos. Rude. Natalia's got a workout out. Wow. Yeah. Okay. I need you to expand in the comments there because I do not agree. Graham says, stuck in the loft. Yes, absolutely. And good evening to our lovely Sam. Yes, new theme tune. And we can't wait for that to be our usual now. Thank you very much. Okay. So first of all, I don't know if both of you saw this, and actually it'd be interesting to find out your viewpoints as men of the pod. Arsenal have released a video today. I don't know if you have seen it. And it's in conjunction with Purcell. And the aim of the video is to make talking about periods, and more specifically, any leaks on your period, more normalized, and saying all stains are part of the game, whether it is down to your period or whether it's mud or whether, you're getting a bloody nose or whatever it is. All of these are part of the game, and one shouldn't be taboo and the other should be accepted as part of it. Now, periods and any issues associated with it, I'm sure you've all got women in your lives who you know this from, are a general taboo, as I've just said. So it's fantastic that Arsenal, and more specifically Leah Williamson and Beth Mead, who are in the video, are sharing their stories, promoting that awareness to make it normal. And especially a massive thank you to Leah Williamson, who shared the point that actually when she was winning the Euros, she was on her period as well, in an all-white kit. Can we just take a moment for that? Now, a lot of comments about this have said, you know what, during your period, usually it's hard to get out of bed, it's hard to get to the fridge, hard to get to a hot water bottle. So the fact that she did all of that during such a hard time of the month and being able to talk about it and not be embarrassed about it either is a fantastic moment. So that's been received really, really well. And it just makes you think, especially young girls who do drop out of sport during puberty because of, all of this stigma and all of, these issues that they might think is, them not being normal and not being able to talk about it. The fact that this is becoming more normalized. So I just wanted to do a massive shout out. And I know Chloe, who isn't on the pod tonight, she messaged us saying, I really want to talk about this. and shout it from the rooftops how good it is. Oh, Rosie's here. Good evening. Who let you in?
I didn't realise you let me in.
Oh, and let her in. And I was building up. To
Freya
that.
Do you want us to kick it back out?
Yes, please.
Come on.
You actually will. You watch.
There we go. I love having this like added power now. Really
I just love Rosie's face. Go on then, we'll let you back in. How you doing?
Good. My laptop will not turn on. It's a silver one this time.
Well, the silver one won't turn on.
And my Wi-Fi is terrible, so this is going to go great.
Oh, we can't wait.
Does it have a plug in it? Does it have a lead sticking out
It
the
does
side?
look. Wait, hold on. How do I turn my camera around?
The youth of today, ladies and gentlemen.
Honestly,
How do I turn the
Rosie,
camera
the
around?
oldest school person I've ever met in my life.
Hold on.
Absolute tech support show.
Wait, I can't tell you, but it's got a plug in it. It's just not.
Right, there's
not a very good charger.
There's a switch with a circle and a line through it. It's usually on the right.
It's got the little
Needs power.
lightning bolt. I just can't turn my camera around.
Is it plugged in at the other end?
It's got the lightning bolt. Anyway, enough about me. Carry on as you were.
Oh, as we were. Okay, no worries. Rosie, have you seen that Arsenal advert?
Yes.
How did you feel as the younger generation that they're trying to get these more normalised?
Hold on. How do I work this?
You speak?
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was good that they're like reducing the stigma around it, and it's becoming more normalised. I did think it was slightly ironic that they were doing it in white shorts, but I remember that there was a whole thing where they voted on it, and I think they could have chose a different kind of shorts, but they chose to have white.
Yeah, they had a consultation on it, didn't they? Yeah.
I don't know then, though. I don't know about that, but yeah, I like that they're reducing the stigma.
Good. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Did Arsenal change their shirt colour? Because didn't England change from white shorts to...
Yeah.
Haven't they? Because we've seen the new Lioness kit, which is great for anyone who remembers when England were really shit in like 1982 or something. But
I'm gonna have to see it in person. If that's a real kit, I'm not convinced. But
where's the blue coming from? It's red, white, and blue.
Yeah, Union Jack.
Union Jack.
Yeah, but it's England.
It's always had bits of blue on it, kind of. But yeah, it's a weird
I
kit.
think it's impressive to mess up an England kit when it's got two colours and they still manage to screw it up and make it look like a PowerPoint background.
Hey, that was my joke.
Yeah. I was just pretending I was down with the kids rather than making jokes about Paul Mariner and Liv Richards and people like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anyone remembers PowerPoint at school about 10 years ago, 20 years ago, the preset background of like sunset with like the dark navy and just like the stripe of orange through the middle. That's what it looks like. Matthew's saying, any guesses how much it'll cost? About 100. Yeah, it's about the price of shirts now, isn't it?
Too much.
Too much, yeah. I was going to say, well, do you remember everyone kicking off when they did the St. George's flag in like a slightly purple shade that happened to coincide with the trans flag colours?
Yes, that
was last year.
Yeah.
That was very, very funny. That was like...
That was just ridiculous.
Actually, hold on. Red and blue, they've just put the trans flag across the top of it. If they put a little white... Imagine if we could convince like the worst people in the world that the England kit has a massive trans flag right across the top of it.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. That'd be hilarious. Let's start. Let's do it. Now,
England said trans rights. There you go. We'll just say that.
Yeah. Hey, we always support, the common sense causes with this one. Now, and I'm going to come to you to this because we had a comment before the show. So Nag, if you are listening or watching, so he's at KingWolf84 and he tagged us all in and said, right, questions for you to discuss. Following Wolves fans being asked not to sing too loudly at the City Ground against Nottingham Forest, should women's football allow singing? Now, Ant, what do you make of this one? Should there be singing in women's football?
Yes, of course they should. You know, you're not there to, read a book or whatever, or whatever people do at football games. Well, of course, we should be allowed to sing at women's games. And obviously, I'm a Sunderland fan, and we've created a few songs for the lasses. Emily Scar and Joy Division come to mind. But yeah, of course. I didn't. I mean, I must admit, I understood the majority of the question, bar that first one, as in, should women's football fans be allowed to sing? It's like, well, what do you want us to do?
I
like
think
the
it's
small.
a bit sarcastic.
Yeah.
Who's someone to get the dog out?
Well, Paul, because that comes to a different question, though, Paul, doesn't it? Because if, as Nag said, they got told off for singing too loudly and they had to sing quieter. So why do you think that's happened? Is that still the stigma of women's football should be quite nice and friendly and shouldn't incite any banter?
I totally get, because obviously the stadiums are smaller, aren't they? And I think, but saying that though, if I was playing at the City Ground, but like, see if you had like Everton or something like that, and there's a few fans who were shouting swear words, the referees and wanker and all that stuff. I agree with that, because obviously it's meant to be family orientated and everything like that. So I agree with that. Like young lasses don't want to hear that kind of thing. And I think the vast majority of football games I've been to that do, have a lot of singing. Like Liverpool fans, they're so loud and none of their songs have any swear words in. So I can kind of get if it had been, a little bit of like a derogatory comment or something like that in a song. I can kind of get the steward saying, can you just like tone it down because his family's here? That's fair enough. But if it's just literally just like literally like what Nicholas has put there, they're just singing.
So there we go.
Like
Wolves fans are singing too loudly. Nothing offensive, just Wolves.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
I mean, that's just.
I mean, there's a Coventry and Wolves I way is offensive, but that's just local rivalry. Sorry.
Well, Wolves are we? It's trying to control it, isn't it? And it's like, no, if you're a fan of the game, you sing your songs, you sing your loudest. If you've brought, even 20 people singing loudly, it's something for the players, isn't it? Regardless.
I do wonder if, because when you hear men's football fans sing, or when you hear football fans in general sing, there is a certain type of sound that it makes with certain chants. Like I hear it with the Sky Blues. If we're singing like "We'll Live and Die in These Towns," fair enough. If we sing the Sky Blue song, there's a way to sing it, which is in the ground, which is singing it. And then there's the aggressive, pissed up, where you're walking through the centre of Coventry and you hear someone go, "Let's all sing together," and you're like, "Oh Christ!"
But there's such an obvious difference, isn't there?
There's no swearing in it. Obviously, the Sky Blue song, because it was written by Jimmy Hill, so God knows there's no swearing. God knows there are some Sky Blue songs with swearing, but that one isn't one. And also our other one in our Coventry homes, it's another one. If I sing it now, or even if I sing it at a game, it's someone singing. But if you get a group of lads singing it, it can be sung as like not even a battle cry, just a load of, it sounds pissed off. And I do wonder if there's this stupid worry in women's football and this absolute over-the-top terror that any song that isn't, "Come on, insert team here," or even if they bring men's football chants into women's football. So, if Sunderland fans sing "Wise Men Say," for example, or if Chelsea fans sing the whole Chelsea thing, you get people terrified that, or Aston Villa fans give it the whole Villa,
Yeah.
There's this absolute terror from people, which is stupid. And maybe the stewards have been told, "Oh, we don't want any of that yobbiness." Like,
we don't want that here, thank you.
We want all the safe stuff, like Basil dancing with flags, because we can market that, WPLL can market that. It's a bit harder to market a bunch of fans aggressively singing. I don't know. You can stick your North London Forever up your arse or something, which they can, frankly, because that's horrific. But
no, but it's a difference though, because I think genuinely, like if you were a fan of the club, not necessarily the men's coming into the women's, or you're just a fan of football where singing is natural as part of the game. So if you've then brought that in and you sit with other people who are like-minded, I think you are very inclined to know that this is what football is and this singing. But if you come into it brand new though, and you're not aware of it, like different teams have different supporters with varying levels of interaction with the game. So like I've told you before, like when Go to City, the Villa away fans were singing, just, is this a library? Because no one else was singing. And people were offended by that. That's a bit.
See, I don't know, because I come from ice hockey, which had this debate, and ice hockey is horrendous because it's desperate to market itself as a family sport. And when I used to go, we had like the little ultras in Coventry that would sing and stuff like, our garden shed is bigger than this at away games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And people started to give a stick for that, and then people started to give a stick for heckling players, like not even swearing heckling players. Like, I nearly got thrown out of a rink once just for shouting at someone. I think it was something like, your mum's third favourite son and she's only got two. and everyone thought this was, massively offensive. I'm like, that's
funny though. I think a lot of people,
Just quickly, sorry for it. Paul, you just mentioned that, Paul. Ice hockey, it's desperate to be a family sport, and it's one of the only sports in the world that encourages people to have a fight.
Yeah, it's really stupid. They pretend it's like, oh, we're not like football, so we don't want any of that kind of nastiness, because everyone has this idea that men's football is nasty, and it really annoys me because, like, Crystal Palace fans, for example, the Crystal Palace Loyal, the women's team, are amazing.
Yeah,
they travel. I think they were possibly the inspiration for Sunderland's flag wall, because they have the flag wall down in Bromley, which is almost the equal of the one at Everton. Although I think at the end of it, they had something like 28 flags.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously created the flag kind of. The flag development and whatever it is, you know what I mean? They were the ones who started off. We're just following. but the stupid thing is,
it's almost as if, like you say, with this, there is a debate, and Nick's brought up the debate, because it's almost like women's football doesn't want fan culture, or it does, but it only wants a very carefully
controlled,
heavily controlled. We approve Arsenal fans walking to the stadium singing North London Forever, but we don't approve Chelsea fans stood behind the goal at Kingsmeadow winding up the opposition goalie, or we don't approve what do we think of Tottenham? Shit. Which is kind of, and I think it's one of those things where you look at it and go, what the hell are you trying to be? Like, where do you think all these fans are coming from? Like,
yeah, they didn't just appear.
If you've got people coming from the men's game, they're going to turn up, particularly if it's the same team, because of people's connection to the club, and they're going to want to chant the same things, and it'll give the players a beef. I would imagine it gives the Sunderland lasses a buzz when they hear Sunderland anthems go out. It'll give Liverpool players a boost when they hear "You'll Never Walk Alone." It'll give Villa fans a boost if they get a burst of, the Villa players a boost, particularly if you're a local, if you hear some of the songs that are fired up there. And it's almost as if you don't want that. Wolves players hearing Wolves I We sung at them, if they're locals, and there are a bunch of Wolves players who are season ticket holders at Molineux who will have sung that on a Saturday, and then on a Sunday they're playing it and having people chant it at them, and that must be an incredible feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know even from the Villa fan club, Tracy, who runs it, her husband Rob, has been a men's season ticket for years. He's just started coming to the women's, and because men naturally have deeper, louder voices than women, usually, he started to start all the songs off for us and get everyone involved because his voice carried a bit more, and then because of that, we can then start doing that, when those voices aren't there, because, people then know the chants and they get passed on. So I really like that part of it and that aspect. And it shows more that one club mentality, doesn't it? Like, you're singing the same songs, you've got that same atmosphere. And yeah, I really like it. So to those stewards who told the Wolves fans to stop singing or stop singing as loudly, no. Because that's not a football match, is it? It's, yeah.
And I think you find that sometimes with stewards at the women's game that they're a little bit more jobs worthy than what there would be in a men's one because of the kind of clientele, the fans that go. Like we went to Birmingham at the start of the season, obviously, and we've got the Hawaii pod flag, which has since been destroyed, by the way. We don't know where it's gone. It's gone missing. Oh. But the steward was like, "Oh, you can't put the flag up because it violates a safety concern, this, that, and the other." And there was probably 8 or 9 Birmingham flags already being put up. So I was like, well,
Palace fans have had that as well.
You know what I mean?
Palace fans had that at Spurs.
Yeah. So it was like,
how did they? And
I think it's just because the stewards are kind of like, maybe we can get away with it. Like, as in, if we tell them, they will stop. Whereas you can't a men's game, unless you're being, complete and utter, what, the stewards kind of like just see it as, well, it's lads banter and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So,
like Joel says, though, can you imagine Gladys Street end at Goodison Park or the Cop end at Anfield, and some dickhead Joel just goes, "Shh, it's the women's game."
Yeah. But also as well, Paul, like. If you're going along like this, like kind of line of thinking with stewards and this and the other, are you going to tell every woman who goes to men's games to shut up and not sing because it's like only men should sing? You know what I mean? It's just mad, isn't it?
It just doesn't make any sense.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's just this idea of people who go to watch women's games. Oh, it's Kira.
Kira's back.
Yeah.
There you go.
It was up there from last time. Just thought I'd leave it.
But. Like
it was a green screen last time. Not, I mean, obviously. Kira was.
You just screenshotted Kira's actual appearance from last time and put it as your background.
Yes, that's what happened. Thank you very much.
Whereas that is actual Kira in a Chelsea shirt. Now she actually is in a Chelsea shirt.
Can you just stay there and it looks just like she's like alongside? That's class. That just keep in that pose. That's the one. Like. I'm going to do this for tomorrow. I'm going to put like Wilson Isidore on that little corner there and just have me.
Can you do it? Can you do it? Can you do it?
Off with a drink again.
Is Wilson Isidore what? I don't want to get what is country from, so I'll just say generic South American. Like, can you do a generic South American accent? Just
we've got French.
Wilson. Is he?
Yeah, he's French.
It's Junior Bartel all over again. I'm not having a good look with people's. Oh, it's Julia Bartel all over again, isn't it?
It is Julia Bartel. Rosie, Matthew would like you to do your Kira Walsh voice again, please.
Sorry, I don't have a Kira Walsh voice.
No, because it was actually Kira, remember, Matthew?
Yeah.
It was actually Kira.
Who's Kira Walsh again? I can't recall.
See, this is when you just like lean slightly and just...
I was right here.
I was just there, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. I bet there's been fan fiction falling into. No, anyway.
Oh, Paul, it's not even 9 o'clock. You couldn't have even waited 2 minutes.
I actually made the mistake because I was looking at women's football TikTok because I saw I was going to have a rant about how certain podcasts are encouraging toxicity, which we'll save for later on.
Before we get to the WSL, we'll talk about that.
But yeah, in the mistake of looking that, there are some very, very, I believe the kids say, down bad fans out there.
Oh,
certain
the
players.
edits or something. The edits. In fact, Paul, we are gonna talk about it later, and I'm just gonna come back to the Lena Oberdorf comments as well, because that'll fit really nicely into that. So
Okay. Yeah, we'll mention that later on, because I'm
after
going
we
to
do
talk
the
about the
championship,
championship.
we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Once I leave, Paul, it's all yours. I'm just looking at Nicholas's comment there. Kira Walsh, Rochdale's finest export, and all that. Charlotte Cromartie, mate. She's second.
I love it. Right then, let's talk some proper football then, shall we? Because we're starting with the best league in the world this evening, the Women's Championship. Now, Anne, we're going to start with you because we had another massive 3 points for Durham as they won 3-2 over Blackburn. However, it probably shouldn't have been as clear-cut as that with them getting the 3 points, should it? So,
I hope no one from work's watching this, but I sneakily was watching this while I was at work. Because obviously with Durham playing on at Maiden Castle, there's a hill at the side of one of the stands where obviously if you're walking your dog or whatever, you can see it. So I was having a lovely leisurely walk across Durham, completely forgetting the match was on, wink wink and all that stuff. I ended up watching, a fair chunk of it. And the first half I thought Durham were awful. I've seen Durham, obviously watched them play a few times this season, watched them in, the derby against us, obviously the derby down in the County Cup. And I really thought they were poor. I thought Blackburn should have been out of sight by half time. It was 2-1 at half time. It could have been 3 or 4. It really could have been. Durham just couldn't get into gear, and you just thought, I said 2-1 down, 1-0 down, sorry. And you just thought they couldn't get into gear, but they scored just after half time, which was a nice goal through Novak. And then, Rachel Dugdale goes and scores at the other end. Thought, right, Blackburn are going to go on and win this quite comfortably because Durham's heads just seem to have dropped as well. But they got back into it, a rare goal from Becky Saliki. Took a while to be fair to her. And to be fair, from then on, Durham did look the likeliest of teams. I think Blackburn, with obviously, they're not fully pro yet, are they? I know they offered the players peanuts to play and all that stuff, but you can tell in games that they do run out of steam. And normally what Blackburn do very well is time waste, but it kind of went back against them because obviously due to all that, they gave away 6 minutes at a time. And in the 7th minute of added time, Beth Heppel scores a lovely goal, to be fair. Really nice finish that only Beth Heppel can do, to be honest. And to be fair to Durham, they just went wild. The fans went wild. The players went wild. It was actually, considering, rivalries aside and all that, it was actually quite nice to see because they're up there, aren't they? And no one expected them to be up there. I wouldn't even say Durham fans expected them to be where they are so far. And they're right in amongst it. You've got to mention them now being up there with one of the favourites to go up. I know they've got a really, really hard run, and they've got us soon as well. But the way we're playing, they might beat us. But no, I thought like I said, I don't really like to see them do that well. But they're the best side in the northeast at the minute. They're better than us and they're better than Newcastle. So fair play to them because it's still like I say, it's a squad that's aging. And they're just, I think they're having it's probably the final swan song for some of these players like Beth Apple and Becky Siliki and probably Sarah Wilson and that. And they're giving it a really good go, and if they go up, fair play. And I think it's Adam Finesse who's in charge of them, isn't it? And he deserves a massive, massive pat on the back for what he's done because they were relegation fodder last year and they probably could have gone down if the season had gone on any longer. I think they would have gone down. But the fact that he's just rejuvenated them and they haven't really made that many signings. They're just the ones that they had are good. You know what I mean? Like Amy Claypool, who's come from Chelsea. She's a cracking player. Really, really good holding the ball up and everything like that. And they've got Carly Johns to come off the bench who was class for Watford last year. So what they have done is strengthened well. And like I said, fair play to them. Fair play to them. I can just begrudge them, to be honest.
Did you just say it was the swan song for Beth Heppel?
I think for some of them it is, yeah.
I was going to say, she's 28.
Yeah, but if you look at...
Some of them,
I mean, like, you know, like this, like, you know, what we've seen the last 3 or 4 years, Paul, with, you know, the Heppels, the Salikis, the Robsons, the Wilsons, and that core of players haven't got long left. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the Salikis and the Wilsons, I agree with you, because they're like Saliki is in early 30s. Wilson, or is she Wilson or is she McFadden? I always get this wrong.
I call Sarah Wilson. Yeah, I think you're getting Sarah Robson mixed up.
I am.
She's married to McFadden, but she calls herself Sarah Robson. Yeah, but like she's having another kid, so she's going to retire at the end of the season. You know what I mean? She's not playing for them at the minute. They've already lost Tatiana Saunders as well. She's retired, so it's like at this point now, and they don't have very many younguns coming in from the likes of Sestri and stuff like Grace Air, Ella Wilson, and that. They're the two standouts. But you look at Sestri at the minute, and they're not exactly pulling up that many trees, and I don't think they've got much from the academy. Where you look at Sunderland, their PGA side, you would probably pick 3 or 4 that you like going, right, they'll be in the first team. Can't really see that at Durham. So
they're all being nicked. Like Poppy Pritchard, they're all being nicked.
Yeah. Well, obviously, Poppy went to City, didn't she? And had a loan at Palace and stuff like that. But you know, that's what happens, I think. But she never came. Poppy wasn't really from their academy though. She signed for Sestria from Sunderland, so she's technically Sunderland academy. But yeah, I mean, like you say, what Matthews put there. I mean, they've been taken over, haven't they? They've got like, you know, a lottery. Every time when they put like the lottery winners, I think they say in the band the lottery winners. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, it's not them. But yeah, I mean,
to start again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've got to see them next Thursday as well.
Oh, nice.
But like, just thinking like that's going to be massive for them. It's going to put, you know, big cash injection. But the problem is they're up against, you know, the Newcastles of this world. They were just going to buy everybody anyway, especially next season. So, but fair play to them. Like I said, we can't grudge them.
No, because if we have a look at the table, third in the table on 26 points. I mean, again, we always say it, but there's hardly anything in it between first and sixth. Well, first and seventh, actually. Just a little gap there between Newcastle and Southampton. But yeah, third for Durham. Like you said, last season, that we wouldn't have given that a shout, would we?
Third bottom last season, weren't they?
Yeah. So just gone the other way. But yeah, third, absolutely massive for Durham. Right then, thank you very much. We're going to come to me next, I believe. Yes. So I'm going to talk about Bristol 0, Southampton 0. And honestly, you might think... Honestly, I was looking at it because initially I didn't catch it live. So I was like, 0-0, you know, I'll have a little look. Bloody hell, the highlights. I was like, what is going on? So yeah, settling everyone, let's tell you a story because it certainly was not a 0-0 match at all. Stats were off the charts. Bristol had 17 shots, 13 on target in 10 corners. And just that kind of says it all. That's the story of the match. Fran Stenson had to make 13 saves compared to Bentley's 1, which Bristol just dominated completely. How they weren't 3-4-0 up, I do not know. Jamie Lee Napier, cracking player, but luck was not on her side at the weekend. So she had the first notable chance of the game, but Stenson was quick to get down, but the ball was knocked out of play. Bristol were denied a massive corner at such an early point in the game, with the ref blowing for a goal kick. And we've seen that, well, we see it all the time, don't we? Ref getting those calls wrong. But yeah, you could tell the frustration started within like the first 10 minutes, and it did not ease at all. So yeah, Southampton were massively on the defence, and at any one time had about 8 players back in the box defending because Bristol were playing so high. So soon afterwards, Syme, honestly, it's Emily Syme, it is, isn't it? Yeah. She, honestly, how she didn't get a hat-trick either, I do not know. It was her turn to feel aggrieved this time. She felt the ball had actually gone over the line from her header, but Stenson had parried it away, and again, the ref waved play on.
I thought that went in as well, watching on the highlights. It looks in, doesn't it?
It did, didn't it? And you can just see their faces like, but it was in, you know, where's the lines for what's going on? And yeah, you could just feel that frustration building. So you would think, oh, they're going to score soon and they're going to keep going. But they didn't. Syme had another chance as the half wore on. But again, Stenson, I mean, player of the match, because she definitely kept it goalless. Like, she was so alert. Southampton, though, their best chance, and I think the only chance really, came from Arsenal loanee Vivian Leah, who was allowed to run completely into space. There was no one on her, and took a shot, but Bentley was able to punch it away to safety. So that was just in the first half, right? Second half then, Southampton's defence and clearances were really poor, getting worse as the moments wore on. And pod favourite Lexi Lloyd-Smith picked up a loose ball and had a shot, but it went just wide, adding again to that frustration. Syme again had the ball close to the back of the net, but Stanson had to do like a volleyball parry to get it clear, and it landed just behind the goal. But the cruelest moment of the game came in the 90th minute. Well, just after it was in stoppage time, I think, and it just summed everything up. So it was a brilliant effort, came across the goal, beat the keeper, beat the defenders, beat everyone. Jamie Lee Napier in the perfect position at the back post. All she had to do was tap it in, and it bounced awkwardly off her ankle and went the wrong way. And you could just see, I think she went to her knees, I think, and she just went, how did that not go in? And as soon as the whistle went, you just saw that relief on the players' faces, thinking, how on earth did we get a point from that? So Southampton, very lucky indeed. And again, if we go points-wise, Bristol there on 5th on 24 points, same as Charlton, who had a great game. We'll talk about them in a moment. And yet Southampton just slightly behind Newcastle now, but Southampton have got no one pushing them, have they? Because then the breakaway pack again.
I think it's the top 5 now. I know we're going to mention Sunderland, but I think we're out of it now. And Newcastle have got to win out every game now from then on, because they've got 2 games in hand, don't get us wrong, but it's a long gap, isn't it? 9 points is a long gap to make up now. Yeah.
And it's just so harsh. There's only one promotion spot as well. It needs to be 2, doesn't it? It just needs to be 2.
If I was a Southampton fan, though, I would be disappointed with my season so far. Like, they always look like they're going to be one of them ones, and they never quite manage it. They always fall away, don't they? I remember they played us at the start of the season, they beat us 3-0, and we probably were the architects of our own downfalls with some of the goals, but they looked a good side here, I think, now that they look a lot better this year. And then they've lost. I don't think they've won this year. I'm not sure if they've actually won this year, to be honest. I know there haven't been that many league games, but they just seem, like I say, one of them sides who are just also around all the time. And I don't know what it is. I really don't.
No, because they've drew with Newcastle last time, lost to Durham, lost to Sunderland, lost to London City. Oh, that was December. Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't won this year, have they, in the league? Yeah.
No.
I know it's only 3 games, but still, it's worrying.
But in this league, as we've said, when literally every point counts, you need to start picking them up. But they did. They picked up a magical point indeed.
There was an interview with Remy Allen today in
go on then.
The Athletic.
Oh yeah.
As well. And she was talking a lot about how it's been a baptism of fire at Southampton, apparently.
I can imagine,
And that she was doing coaching because she needed the money. When she was at Leicester City, Rhiannon Skinner apparently encouraged her to do her coaching badges. Okay. And then she found out she really enjoyed it. And her playing journey is a way of learning to be a coach. And also, the bit that I'm kind of dreading being made a thing is she is married to Carly Davis, who manages Nottingham Forest.
Yes.
And, of course, the article in The Athletic, written by a certain member of Counterpressed, Jesse Barker Humphries, says a lot of it focuses on that, and a lot of the what's it going to be like managing against your wife? And Remy is lovely about her. She says a lot of stuff. She's an incredible manager. I've learned so much from her, and we're quite good at balancing each other out because days are stressful. Sometimes it might be I've had a stinker, I come home stressed, and even if she's won, she'll say, right, let's put football away. So it sounds like they've got a really good back and forth.
Yeah, really good balance, yeah.
But
I hope she doesn't start singing at the games when Southampton play for us.
Oh, imagine if she starts singing from the bench and just Cindy gets just stewards rugby tackling her on the bench and Carlis stood there going, "What's going on?" Like,
we don't do this here.
probably start practically a championship team though. But
you don't want as well though. It's such a big assumption as well because I know Forest are top, but they're not guaranteed to go up yet. It's only like 4-point gap or something.
Well,
it's not over yet, is it?
There's Burnley, Wolves.
Them and Burnley, yeah.
Mm.
Wolves.
And then Liverpool are nearby, but probably not near enough to actually cause an issue. But
yeah, so we've got Forest on 42, Wolves 39, Burnley 37, Stoke 37. Then it drops off to Rugby Borough on 27.
I do hope Stoke don't come up because Stoke literally play in, the kind of Sunday League field with
they are.
Dog shit
Not another one.
They are bruises as Stoke women.
It's absolutely ridiculous because they're owned by the Bet365 family, who are probably some of the richest football owners in the English system. Which is saying a lot when there's a literal country owning a team, mentioning no names. But the Stoke women are just having no money put into them, and they're still sat there. So whereas Forest have done what Southampton did a couple of years ago, and are like, we're going up, and they've gone fully professional and have a bunch of internationals and everything.
Yeah, actually having aspirations and goals for where they want the women's team to be. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we need to do. 100%. Right then, Ant, we'll come back to you then. We're going to talk about Birmingham City 1, Sheffield 0.
Yeah. We're only talking about one thing, aren't we, in this game? The goal of the season. Question though, and this is the big question, because I take everyone has seen the goal that we're just about to mention through Shannon Cook. Absolute beauty, to be fair. But the question has to be, has she meant it, or is it an overhead pass? I really want to say, and I really want to believe Shannon Cook when she says she meant it, because that's an absolute beauty. It's just such a good goal.
If that's scored in the men's game, it gets played for
exactly.
months.
Yeah. I mean, it's just such a precision effort as well, and it flies in. And I've seen the old stuff onto it, like what's the keeper doing, this, that, and the other. No goalkeeper in the women's game would say that, and you'd be hard pressed to find many in the men's game because it is a wonderful finish.
But like you say, people don't say when Edison was beaten by Jamie Donnelly for Leighton Orient. Nobody's like, what's Edison doing there? That's an amazing goal. That's goal of the season.
Yeah.
So, and it annoys me that it's not getting played. If that's scored in the WSL by one of the big four, it's all over Sky and whatever else. But
which is why we're talking about it now, and we'll clip it up. So 44 minutes, right? I'm making it up for Sam.
And I've got to say as well, like, because obviously we played Birmingham, I think the week before, and Shannon Cook had an absolute stormer against us. Looked a really, really good player. I just didn't think she had that in her arsenal, to be honest. It's a great goal, and one of them ones, because Sheffield are proven, like, in this second half of the season, they have a little bit of metal about them. They're not losing games as much as they were. They nearly beat Newcastle quite recently. Newcastle had I think it was a last minute equaliser for Newcastle, and they really are like battling for their lives down there with Blackburn and Pompey. But they made it hard for Birmingham. It's just you sometimes, and we say this about, we've just mentioned the promotion race as well, and Birmingham are top of the tree at the minute, but they've also you know, they've got London breathing down the next, and they had 17 shots in that game compared to Sheffield's 2. So it was obviously a one-way traffic game. And sometimes you need goals like that, you know, because sometimes, you know, your strikers or whatever have bad days and you need someone with that bit of magic, and that was that bit of magic. And if we're looking at the end of the season, that's the goal to take Birmingham up. What a goal. So, you know, very well.
That's the one that does it, 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
Do we know why Amy Merrick's got sent off yet?
No. Does anyone?
No. Because I was watching it, and then suddenly it was like, oh, and there's some discourse on the touchline, and there's she's been sent off. And Amy Merrick's looked confused. It was like, what?
Yeah.
Me? And it was just never mentioned.
She might have been singing too loud, you know. Might have been something like that. I don't know. I honestly don't know. She wanted to put a flag up because that's the issue we had at Birmingham. So
it didn't have a fire safety certificate with it.
Yeah, she didn't have a safety certificate. Yeah, so
maybe she said "fuck off," and the referee thought she said "fuck you." Or that's just only Spain.
Well, I honestly don't know, because I mean, the last person you expect to get sent off for foul and abusive language is probably Amy Merrick's. To be honest, she's quite a nice woman. So I don't know.
So Amy, if you are watching this, if you could please let us know why you got that red card. That would be great. If you even know,
Shannon could mean that, even though we're all agreeing that she did, apart from Tony Montana. In the
chat. I'm going to take issue with Graham, because Graham called it a floaty L, and it's not a floaty L.
No.
If anything, it's a thunder bastard, because she hits it hard and straight, and it doesn't arc. It's just kind of
just a little dip
hard and straight into the top corner.
Yeah, that'll do it. But again, that win, Birmingham 1 point ahead of London City, but London City do still have a game in hand. So again, it's going to come right down to the last day again, isn't it?
I think it might come down to London versus Birmingham, whoever wins that game, because obviously they've got each other to play again, haven't they? I think whoever wins that game is your league winners. I think just obviously seeing every team at Everton or the Stadium or whatever this season, the two stand out. Even though we beat London and Everton, the two standouts to me have been Birmingham and London. I think the best two teams in the league are there, and this is no disrespect to any fan or anyone, you know, who's, you know, got a team or got a hat in the race, horse in the race. I think they're the two best teams this season. And I think London have slowly got better, but Birmingham have been great from day one. So I had a little dip off, but I think that's the two. I think they'll break away. I think, to be honest.
It's just a shame London don't have a fan base to cheer them on.
Yeah. We'll find out, because
no, they do. They're just singing really quietly. That's what's...
they're all dressed as seats in Bromley. Like,
Rosie, where's Bromley again?
She's having mini eggs.
She's having mini eggs. She's like,
always be prepared.
This as well.
Free entertainment. We love it.
She's there like, oh, second.
You faster.
I'm also watching highlights, as always. Why can't I see? That's kind of creepy.
Oh, there we go. We can see.
Anyway, as you were.
I just love the preparation. You get back to it, Rosie. Don't worry. You've still got some time.
This is the one Chelsea game I wasn't at, so I have to prepare. Anyway, I've got my notes for the other one. Don't worry.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Hey, we can't wait. We can't wait to hear that.
Decided by a goal.
It was decided by a goal. Some stuff went on, some football was played, and it was decided by a goal. But hey, we're going to talk about another match now. Paul, we'll come to you. There were 5 goals in this one. Charlton 5. Sorry, Graham. Portsmouth 0. Any chance we said of Portsmouth getting into a bit of a rhythm? They just couldn't make it work against Charlton, could they? So talk us through this one, if you don't mind, please. Mr.
Charlton were the Charlton that we said they were at the beginning of the season, where they were free-flowing and they were playing the passes through, and Eddie Brazil was doing Eddie Brazil things, and
which we love.
Portsmouth looked like a team that are down. Like,
like
it's horrible to say that in February, but they kind of have.
Yeah.
Like, and they shouldn't, because they're 2 good results away from getting out of there. You know, there's that little 3-way battle down the bottom of the table. But they just, I don't know, they lack something. And it's sad because we had such high hopes for them.
Yeah.
And then they come up against teams like Charlton, who, with all due respect to Graham, whilst they're an established championship team, they're not a team that you look at and instantly go, oh, this is a team that's going to destroy the rest of the league. You look at them and go, oh, they could be up there, but 23 shots to 9 at an away game. Those are the stats. 11 of those were on target. 5 of them go in. Charlotte Newsham, after 18 minutes, almost as good at scoring goals as she is at stopping them with her hand. However, she actually used her feet for this one. It was
good.
a nice little finish. And then you had Eddie Brazil, who's been back and forth with injury issues, but no relation to Alan, thankfully, for her, and indeed everybody else.
I wonder if that's the granddaughter he was on about. You know, like your granddaughter plays football. I go watch her. I wonder if that's the girl.
Can you imagine him turning up at the Valley now? Just Graham spotting him. Just, but like they've got Sophie Whitehouse there as well, who is a very underrated goalie. She was superb for Lewis in their relegation season. She was superb for Birmingham as well. And Charlton have this thing with that where they have ex-Birmingham goalies or ex-goalies who played in Birmingham, because they had Shan Rogers for a couple of seasons, and now they've got Sophie Whitehouse, and she just keeps, like Graham says, she keeps making good saves. She's not a spectacular goalie, but she keeps making good saves. And then another former Villa player, Jodie Hutton, doing things, scoring after 59 minutes. Eddie Brazil with her second. And Emma Bissell, who is an interesting one. I don't know how Charlton pulled that loan off, because she was fairly regularly playing for Everton last season.
I know, I'm impressed, yeah.
So I don't know how they managed to pull that one. Although Everton have brought in, there's a lot of competition in Emma Bissell's position now. So maybe she is the odd player out at Everton at the moment, and it's like, well, we'll and she's pretty young as well. Played, I believe, in the US college system, and then came back here and scored 1, made 2. So it'll be interesting to see. And Charlton really needed a performance like this to keep in contact with the teams above them. Especially as I believe their next game is the derby against London City. The South London and Kent derby.
Massive game, that, isn't it? Massive game.
That one's a huge one. And I stand corrected. She's actually signed from Everton. So fair play to Charlton with that one. You know, that's an ambitious signing, that one.
Yeah.
And
for the future.
It'll be fun, because anyone who's ever seen Charlton, they have Karen Hills as manager, who is obviously got a bit of a history in the game. And then they have Ritesh Mishra as the assistant manager, who is the loudest man I have ever heard at a women's football game. That man has never had a sentence go through his head that he didn't feel the need to tell everybody else. Like genuinely, there's Karen Hills is there trying to shout instructions, and he'll be shouting the most inane stuff. Like, I mean, it clearly works, because he was Charlton manager, and he was also Charlton assistant manager, and he's very good at his job. And also, he's a representative of an underserved community in English football as well. So nothing but positives and nothing but support for you, Ritesh. But please, inside voice, just occasionally.
Or we'll get the stewards to tell you off.
You know, if you guys go to play Nottingham Forest, you're screwed, mate. You're out the door in the first few seconds.
I bet he's frowned at the City ground, isn't he?
Imagine the stewards just rugby tackling him on the bench, like
red cards for everyone.
Red cards for everything. But I'll bet he's a lovely human being, though. He's just very, very loud. He's like every Sunday league manager you can ever imagine rolled into one.
Yeah. No, it's true. And that 5-0 win then takes them into 4th place, 24 points, same as Bristol City, with a slightly better goal difference as well. So again, if it does come down to goal difference, every single goal counts, as we keep saying. But yeah, poor Portsmouth, poor Pompey.
They're level as well on goal difference, Charlton and London City. So
yeah.
Charlton 4 points behind, but if they beat them, then they're suddenly 1 point behind with a better goal difference.
Yeah, and the game in hand on Birmingham as well, haven't they?
And the game in hand on Birmingham. By the way, you were saying that you think it will come down to the winner of the game between Birmingham City and London City.
Yeah.
Last day of the season at St Andrews.
Is it? There we go.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be so good.
Hands rubbing for that one.
So good. Can't wait. Drama.
It's like the next. I know we're on about Sunderland, but the next week is quite pivotal, isn't it? Like you've got London against Charlton, which is massive at the top of the table. You've got like the local derby between us and Durham.
Yeah.
And then you've got down at the bottom there, Sheffield United versus Portsmouth. Because that's if Portsmouth don't win that game, Portsmouth are down, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're not gonna get 7 points. It's impossible. You know what I mean? And you've got to be thinking now we're getting towards, as crazy as it sounds, because there's one less team and we're getting towards the end of the season. We're not a million miles away now.
No. And the fact that Sheffield is their closest rival, in a sense, they're the games, like you said, that they need to be getting points from. And just, I mean, if it just comes down to goal difference, I think they are pretty stuffed. Good. But you never know. You never know, dear. But yeah, massive one there. But even Blackburn, Birmingham, we've seen Blackburn can be stubborn, put up a fight. Yeah. So it's not going to be easy for Birmingham to get those points, is it? So yeah, we can't wait. But that is next week, of course, because we have internationals. But we will come back to you. We just mentioned Sunderland. Annoyingly, London City did us a bit dirty, didn't they? They won 2-0. Talk us through this one, please.
Rosie, you were there, weren't you? Were you at that one?
I was pitch side.
Go on then. You take over. I'll say my bit after you. You haven't spoke much.
All right. Firstly, I want to say about Michelle Kang. I'm not saying any opinions, but the pure terror on my face when I walked into the hospitality suite after the game, and Michelle Kang, bundled up in like layers of coats, literally looks me directly in the eye. Like I had to kind of act it out. I was in the door. She was trying to get in the door. I was in her way. I panicked. And I had to really quickly move that way, and she ran past me. Terrifying. That woman. She would look at me and I would turn into stone.
I was going to say, Medusa Kang.
Literally. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not saying any opinions.
I'm surprised you didn't come in and say you're the award-winning, podcast, FC award-winning Rosie Dawson. But, yeah.
I literally froze. I was like, oh my God, I'm in her way. Anyway, enough about that. The game, I was expecting it to be more even than it was. London City, just dominant, truly. Izzy Goodwin her goal was incredible, and she's also the loveliest human alive. Managed to talk to her after the game. She's amazing. Yeah, there's not really much to say that I remember. I was mainly just panicking about Michelle Kang.
Yeah.
My memory of the game is a bit foggy.
So what were you doing, Rosie? Talk to us. Why were you pitch side? What were you doing?
Well, I'm doing the Powerhouse project with Barclays WSL, which basically means that I get to go and do content for WSL and Championship. And I was there for the Championship. So if you look at their Twitter, all of the videos that shot in person, all of the videos there were 2 goals from that game were by me. So
you mean you didn't shoot the videos remotely? You did actually shoot them in person.
Can I ask about that? Because the crowd noise was obviously pumped in, because it sounds as if it's more to learn about.
I actually made a conscious choice to sit on that end of the pitch because there were more fans there.
What, 5?
Because it was the same. It was the same.
There were 2 rows.
Game. It was the same at the Birmingham game when it was a fantastic goal, but it honestly sounds in front of 100,000 fans.
They publish their attendances.
Sorry?
No,
they publish their attendances. They don't really, do they?
Not really.
No.
And also the away fans were next to me, so I was like, oh, if I get an away goal, then hopefully some people will shout. But yeah, there were a few, to give them credit. It was a big game, kind of.
So they were what?
20? I think the scored at the right times as well, didn't they? Obviously, they got the goal quite early on, didn't they, through Izzy Goodman, as you said. And that was a great header, like a really, really good header. And I agree with what you said about her being the nicest person off the pitch. I mean, because you think when she's on the pitch, big, tall, like you think, oh, she's quite scary. But she is one of the most delightful people I've ever met in the game, I must admit.
She's one of the quietest people as well.
She is so quiet. Yeah, but she's an absolute delight. Like, I've got to admit, and the penalty, I think they got the penalty at the right time as well, because we were just starting to get a grip of the game. We had a couple of chances. I think if Ellen Nadal had been playing up front, we might have scored 1 or 2, but we really miss her. And I think they just put the second half was a non-event, wasn't it? They just watched that. I watched it on Monday, and it was just we tried, but we couldn't really get anywhere near, and they just saw the game out really well. And it is what it is. I think it's just the difference in the gulf in class, really, that they've got, a team full of internationals, and we haven't, I'm afraid, at the minute. And obviously,
I did see Ian, who one of the loyal Sunderland women fans, made the point because the quote at the beginning from Freya about woman of the people is because the American women's football podcast Men in Blazers tried to give it present the soft side of Michelle Kang, where she's interacting with human beings and not turning them into stone because she's not an alien overlord.
Terrifying them at doors.
She was cold, to give her credit. She wanted to get inside.
She was.
I was cold too.
They're in Lyon because in France they don't call it a Big Mac, they call it a Voyale with cheese. There you go. There's a film reference for the people in the chat. But yeah, they made a big thing out of her being woman of the people, and I was kind of like, can we not pretend that billionaires are actually lovely people and investing in women's football for the good of their health? Because Michelle Kang isn't, and she's driving up salaries at an unsustainable rate. And then Ian said something like, but she's investing, and then someone else made the point of one Kosovar Asllani's yearly salary is higher than the entire Sunderland team budget.
Put together. Yeah. So there you go. That's the difference. And to be fair, like, obviously, I think as well with us, because when we lost to Birmingham, the winning run had come to an end, and I think we kind of knew then that was our season done. And the fact that we've got a cup final and a cup quarter final in a few weeks against Manchester United, you kind of look at that, and it's hard not to have one eye on that as well. If you're a player thinking you might not get that chance again, you know what I mean. So I think that's another thing where you can kind of excuse it because the seasons. This is the problem about having one up now. Our season pretty much relies on the Manchester United stuff and the fact that we're going to be getting £120,000 from that FA Cup to invest in our squad. I think is the big thing, and I don't think our season now is defined on losing 2-0 away to London City Lionesses. As sad as it is, we've got 3 more big games left this season. We've got Durham next week, the FA Cup, and then we've got Newcastle the week after that. That's it. Then our season's done. So that's it. It is right. We go on the beach.
But that money though is massive for Sunderland in particular, isn't it? Like to invest in the future is massive.
I mean, that buys 3 players. You know what I mean? Like if you're giving them like 40 grand, because I don't think there's that many Sunderland players on 40 grand a year. Maybe 1 or 2. But you're thinking there that buys 3 good quality players, and it might also as well help us invest in because obviously we've got players who are under contract who will run out of contract at the end of the season, like Katie Kitchen, Mary McAteer. We can obviously give them a little bit of a bump up. You know what I mean? Like come and stay with us, and we'll give you this, that, and the other. Which, to be fair, if we lost Katie Kitchen at the end of the season, I think we'd struggle to replace her. Where like last year we lost Liz Duty, which wasn't really that big of a blow. But if we lost Kitch and Jenna Deere or, a couple of the young ones like Kitty Watson and Grace Eade, I think we'd struggle. But so that's what our season's all about now, I'm afraid. It is what it is. Yeah.
And, the youngsters, in the team is so integral to that starting 11, really, aren't they? And that depth. Yeah. So that money would be absolutely mad. Fantastic. Okay, so that is it, I believe. So we've talked about fixtures, talked about everything, and that wraps up the Women's Championship for this week. Phenomenal. Thank you very much. And thanks for joining us.
You're more than welcome. Yeah, I've overstayed my welcome tonight.
Always a pleasure.
I'll have to look after me. I'm have to look after me dad. So. But thanks for having us, and you may see a very strange horse tomorrow in the absolute lower league. So let's go and prepare for that.
No, but thanks, and we'll see you soon.
You're all welcome. Cheers. Enjoy the rest of the show, everyone. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Yeah.
Right then, so let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, Tony's just put there in the chat. If Sunderland beat United in the FA Cup, the biggest cup set. Oh, we love a cup set, don't we? In the Women's FA Cup ever, even bigger than when Spurs beat City. I would love Sunderland to beat United. Depends. I don't know how long Ellen Dale's out. I haven't seen an update, but it's a dream.
I will gently challenge, because I think the biggest cup set in the Women's FA Cup ever was when third tier Bridgewater United beat Crystal Palace.
There's a shout. Yeah.
Because I think the gap between the third tier and the Championship is far wider than the gap. Or it was at that time. It's perhaps narrowed now, but certainly in 2021, I believe it was, in the third round, the gap then was massive. Yeah. And that was the season Bridgewater United then got Man United, because apparently Man United getting easy lower league draws is not a recent phenomenon. No disrespect to Sunderland, but they are the lowest ranked team still remaining in the cup. So
they are, and in itself, that should be praised. We've got this far, done well, yeah.
But yeah, this is why we're manifesting with the red and white.
We are. I know. Oh, I don't know where my shirt is. I don't know where it is.
I'll save it for next week. I'll wear this again next week.
Yes. Well, in fact, everyone who has red and white, no matter what team it's for, just wear it for that FA Cup match. In support. Now, I know Rosie said she had internet issues, so she keeps coming in and out. Hopefully she'll come back soon, because I did have a question for her. So we're going to talk, before we get to the WSL, we're going to talk a bit about social media yet again, because people are relentless. Now, as we know, there are various sides of the internet. We are all on one lovely part of it. We are a lovely community here at the Absolute Football Podcast. But there are some people who take it to extremes, and everyone loves a laugh and a joke and banter and things like that. But when does, well, we know when it crosses the line, but it's the reasoning behind why people think it's acceptable. And of course, players are very privy to this. So we're going to start. Paul, there was an interview with Lena Oberdorf a while ago, wasn't there? We didn't get around to talking about it at the time, but she was very aware of what certain fans are saying about her and her teammates online, and she had a bit of a message for them, didn't she? Do you want to share that?
It was very blunt. It was because Lena Oberdorf, and again, I think that this is something to do. Sorry, I'm distracted because I'm literally telling Twitter we're talking about it now, which is ironic with social media. So it's like we're talking Lena Oberdorf's podcasting concerns about fan behaviour, and I'm just going to post that. So there you go. riveting live coverage.
Do not love it.
But yeah. She has started up a new podcast with one of her friends who is a Bundesliga footballer's wife. And it's got an amazing name. It's called Popcorn and Panenka. And I think, and this is going to sound like I'm showing off, but I'm not showing off. I'm just stating. It's in German, obviously. And the whole conversation is in German. And I think this is why it's not noticed as much, because I think there is, like it or not, a massive tendency from the English-speaking media to not care about players except when they're speaking in English. Like, or if they, with Viv Miedema, if she does an interview in Dutch media, then occasionally people get started because it's Viv Miedema. But, if they don't play in the WSL, who cares, basically? Even though Lena Oberdorf is obviously one of the best players in the world at her position.
But it is, it's forgotten about, isn't it? It's just kind of pushed to one side. Yeah.
But anyway, as someone fluent in German, I saw the comments actually reported in English and translated. And so I was curious and went, "Oh, Popcorn and Panenka, is this a website? What's this?" And it turns out it's Lena Oberdorf's podcast, which is filmed very much like this. And she's sitting there talking, and they talk about a lot of things and have a laugh, and then they kind of get serious. And let's just say that any English reports of the translations are sanitized for as our valuable English is, because Lena Oberdorf does not give a shit. Which
is what we love about her.
Lena Oberdorf treats conversations like she treats a 50-50 pass, which is I'm going straight through it, studs up. And she's talking, and they're talking about people on TikTok specifically.
Yeah. And
she made a point about how there is this really weird thing, often done by female fans, that make edits of players and turn them into porn clips almost. The point she specifically made was there was a clip of her adjusting her shirt or something in the rain, and it was slowed down and sexy movie put to it. And she was also made aware, because her friend was talking about how I must be your biggest TikTok fan because I see all these videos, and when I search you, I see all these videos. How do they affect you? And she said there was one where someone had made a video of me and Eula Brand celebrating a goal, and I'd given her a kiss on the forehead, and this had been slowed down and sexy music put to it and questions asked about whether we were in a relationship. And then she kind of just paused for a second and then switched from German and just went, what the fuck? Don't fucking do it. Her actual words were, don't fucking do it. It's weird.
Yeah. Really, really weird.
And I think this is something women's football doesn't want to talk about. That because a lot of this content, because of the demographic of women's football, is not being made by men.
No.
Like, if it was, it would be, if it was obviously being made by men, it would be condemned, football banter accounts or whatever. It would rightly be condemned the crap out of, because it would be objectification of athletes and all this sort of stuff. But, I've spoken to WSL players who shall remain nameless for an article that I spent a long time doing. And some of you may remember came out briefly and then was taken down again because certain podcasters had their noses put out of joint by the suggestion and the quotes in it that actually it was female fans who were causing the most concern to some players. And this was obviously homophobic of me as a man writing it, and I had an agenda against women's football. Because obviously a bi man is going to be homophobic about women's football. Unfortunately, I wasn't actually out at the time, so I couldn't respond with that. But anyway, that's enough of this. Returning to the point, this was the latest example of that. This was Lena Oberdorf saying, I think it's the first time a player has genuinely come out, because we've had lionesses say occasionally, social media is a good thing and interacting with fans is great, but sometimes it has its dark side. But it's okay, you expect it, and we have. This is the first time a player has just come out and gone, no, fuck off. It's weird.
Yeah. Actually calling it out for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like some of the stuff that gets written about Leah Williamson, I've seen every time she appears at events and she's dressed up, and she is a good looking woman. She's an athlete. She's
beautiful. Yeah.
But some of the stuff that gets written about her by very obviously female or non-binary fans who are perhaps discovering their own sexuality and expressing it. And this was the argument that was made to me when I said, this was what footballers who've said to me, who said in the article, I can't say this publicly because I'll get annihilated. My club would lose their minds. I know at least one of them was a lioness. I don't know who they were, but I know at least one of them was a lioness. And they were saying, I can't say this. I can't call this out because clubs would lose their minds, because we're all supposed to be inclusive and we're role models to young people who are discovering their sexuality and finding a way to express it and fancying us and whatever else. And if we turn around and say, this is weird, then it's a weird, like you say, it's a weird double standard, because I'm fully aware that if I say some of the things that these people are saying about female footballers, I would rightly be hounded off the internet.
And the fact that, like Tony said there, some of the comments, not even that, like the edits are weird. If you go onto TikTok right now and search for some particular players, their goals won't come up. Their just interviews won't come up. It will be all of the edits.
I saw one that was from the last Chelsea game. It was Lucy Bronze and Kira Walsh standing in the centre circle talking. And, everyone losing their minds going, oh, they're going to get back together. Oh, look, you can see the whatever in them. It's like, firstly, did we ever, because I'm not up on this, did we ever have any confirmation that they were in a relationship?
Nope.
Or was this just a Twitter decided they were in a relationship?
This was everyone putting 2 and 2 together and getting 6. Yeah.
So,
but no, never confirmed.
And so, they are being shipped for it. Yeah. And there's
Tony's hit the nail on the head.
Is that actually the term for it?
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, let's have it. So
please explain to the old man who is not with all the oomphs on football Twitter, which is what I believe they call themselves.
Yeah, if you search wands on any social media platform, you will be met with various edits, depending on the timestamp, whether they're in love, together, thirst edits, particularly of Lucy, or now the fact that people think they're now with other partners. all the heartbreak edits of, we will meet again. We will weird. Like, there's a reason that these accounts aren't attached to anyone. They're all, AWFC for life. They're because they know it's wrong. If it was a respectable thing to do, they post it from their personal account, but they're not.
But it's got worse, and we've seen it this week. And it was probably Tony who mentioned it, because he's basically our producer at this point. Tony with Pontus.
Yeah, this is what we're leading up to, Tony. Actually, yes. So this week, again, we don't want to single out players, but we need to address what's been going on. So, it feels like certain players are a no-go when it comes to criticism and any slander of any sort, because, as those players rightly said, they get annihilated if they even say anything minute.
It feels like certain players are no-go for criticism because half of women's football Twitter dreams about them in ways that isn't just watching them play football.
Isn't appropriate. Yeah. Oh, 100%. And unfortunately,
I was trying to phrase that the right way, because my original phrase was a lot blunter, but then I was like, I'm gonna get accused of. This is why the big flag is behind. If anybody tries to accuse me of anything, I'm like, no, I'm one of you. I'm allowed to, I'm not a straight guy having a go at you.
No, it's. But even then, it's just common sense that these things are weird. Like, but this week, Ash Neville has come under fire for her appearance, and it feels like very much if you subscribe to a certain standard of beauty, then you are accepted and you are worshipped, and that's why there's so many followers, and that's where these opinions come from.
It's
but
it's very much a stereotypical English rose. It's very much a stereotypical blonde hair, blue eyed, which has its own disturbing connotations as well.
It does, doesn't it?
Particularly
However,
with the recent discussions over certain players and indeed how certain stars have reacted towards them and questions that have been asked about their status as women. So
yeah. And again, as we've mentioned previously, if you go outside of that norm for beauty, these are athletes. These are professional sportswomen. They're not there for you to fancy them. They're not. You can find someone beautiful. Of course you can. That's a compliment. That's an appreciation. As soon as you start doing it for the wrong reasons, you need to back off. You need to stop. And the fact that Ash Neville's, so in this particular instance, it's always her hair. Now, Ash has had that haircut for a very long time. She clearly likes it. What's that got to do with anyone?
The worst thing about it was the original tweet was your classic football lad crap that most people in women's football ignore or go, try to rise above and try to be superior about. But it was the fact that women's football fans, including some quite well-known troll accounts, join in, and fans of the teams, and it's not just she plays for Spurs. It's she's gonna go and play for Spurs because she's ugly, and you kind of go.
And there were the comments, weren't there?
Yeah, and it's like, firstly, have you seen some of the Spurs players? Like, sorry, without mentioning some of them, Spurs have some pretty good-looking players as well. Every team in the league does because athletes.
Yeah.
But also, it's like, what?
What's her appearance got anything to do with her talent on the pitch? Absolutely nothing. But some players, apparently it's fair game to some of these strong accounts.
I think the hypocrisy about it as well is it's not even consistent. Like you mentioned, the whole feminine norm as a possible reason, and you have to fit a certain norm.
Yeah.
And Ash Neville having short hair, where most in women's football, you have the old joke about blonde ponytails, 11 blonde ponytails on the pitch or whatever else.
Yeah.
But again, Frank Kirby's pixie haircut, which looked amazing, by the way.
Yeah, famously had it.
Famously had the sweep and the looking like that, but better. Like, but imagine. But Frank Kirby's a lioness, so
lioness tax.
It's part of a very concerning thing, and I think it's some of it, and the toxicity in general is fed by the media as well, in the sense that we obviously have you guys who interact in the chat, and it's an amazing and key part of the show. Some other podcasts, including some fairly popular ones, have made a point of scouring WSL Twitter for banter tweets, and they call it WSL Unfiltered. Which, fair enough. I'm sure everyone. I'm not going to name the podcast because we don't want to start podcast beef, because I'll probably get accused of all sorts of things, because that's how it seems to work as well. With criticism, that's how it seems to work as well. If you do criticize some of this, it's because you've got an agenda that, some very nasty accusations are thrown around.
Yeah, and it's like, no, we're just calling out bollocks when we see it.
This podcast in particular, this week on their WSL Unfiltered feature, had a whole bunch of tweets saying some vile stuff about Emily Heaslip. Now, we joked about Emily Heaslip. Rosie was kidnapped by Emily Heaslip this week, apparently, in the group chat. Notice how she doesn't kidnap Arsenal fans. She only kidnaps Chelsea fans. That's clear bias. But they were out there, and this is a very popular, respected podcast. Going out there plugging "Let's be mean to referees" and feeding these accounts, and you kind of look at it and go,
"No,
are we?" It's like that old Mitchell and Webb thing. Are we the baddies here? Because in all this, let's be dead jokey about women's football and dead informal about it. It's like, yeah, but you need to still be professional. And are you not feeding this with with jokes about Ash Neville's hair and all of the jokes about references to certain people being queens and certain people being mother or whatever else, and you just kind of look at it and go,
it's so many different standards. It's depending on the player, it depends on the club, it depends on so many things, and again, it all comes from troll accounts that aren't real people. And you just think, if they're then clearly doing it for where did Graham put it?
They are real people, but they're not people willing to put their names to it.
Yeah, they're not portraying themselves as real people, is what I mean. Yeah. So it's not coming from, like, we've got our pictures on our accounts, we've got who we are, what we do, whereas their account, like, Kate McCabe forever 529 whatever, picture of her as a profile picture, like, it's not, it's that type of account.
And the sad thing is, Graham says, it's no doubt these are accounts that also don't watch women's football. No, they're not. They are
fans.
Vocal fans.
Yeah.
And they are sometimes legitimate, respected podcasts on platforms that have built up.
Yeah.
I think. And are obviously feeding that idea, because everyone watches it and go, that podcast is great because it's the voice of the fans. And it's like, no, it's the voice of you don't print a lot of tweets about taking the piss out of a referee for WSL Unfiltered and then sit and laugh at it and then make jokes yourself about it. That's just not.
No, well, that's the thing. And like Graham's put there, it's, post clickbait because no one's got any fear of repercussions. And like we've said, if that particular referee's done something in a game that we've disagreed with, we've brought it up there and then. And we've made, little jokes that don't go beyond. They're nothing serious. They're nothing. Whereas these comments are way over the line of acceptable, aren't they? And the fact, like you said, that these people are then retweeting it, resharing it, redoing it, it's like, okay, well then you're telling them that's okay.
And then they become memes themselves, like Manuela Zinsberger not being very good when she was in bad form, became a meme among Arsenal fans. And you had people like Tim Stillman going, "Oh, there's your Zinsberger moment for the," and it's like,
yeah,
you talk to them. How can you walk into
your press
the Emirates
conference
and look someone in the face after? And it might be because these players don't follow social media. Like another thing that these players said, the theme was, I don't look at social media myself. I don't follow it. I have people to do it. An occasional tweet, but
yeah.
it's heavily filtered because it's weird.
Yeah,
and
it's so weird.
People, they talk about this connection between players and fans, and how it might be lost because it's not being lost. It's fans destroying it themselves, and it's podcasts destroying it themselves by always looking for the TikTok shareable clip of, oh, here's this really funny tweet that someone said, and here's three of us cackling like witches round the cauldron at CFC Chloe 473 Ramirez, who has tweeted, Imagine Emily Hillslit falling off a cliff, lol, in an Arsenal shirt. Oh yeah, imagine that. That'd be funny because he's an. And you sit there going, this is your marketing. This is your marketing strategy, really?
Well, then in the comments, if anyone says anything, they'll be like, "I was just joking. It's just banter." It's like, do you know what banter is? Banter's actually quite intelligent because it's I don't know. But then you think, are we? It's not even a case of, are we just old now? Is this how it is? Because it's not. It's just common decency. It's just respect. Like,
no, it's not because these are the same people who will if it's a joke they don't like, they will react viciously, and they will.
It's true.
And they will also spread. If you're not in the club and you make a comment that they perceive to be something, you have podcasters putting up clips, actual accredited journalists putting up clips like last season when Carla Ward was on the phone, and it's like people posting up clip going, "Oh, Arsenal, just that's Carla Ward telling a bench Arsenal are shit,"
Yeah.
Or oh great head loss here, and you just kind of go, yeah, you're the ones who are paid to write about it, and you have actual journalists making homophobic jokes about their team Arsenal, who everyone may remember. If again, we're not to call them out by name because beef is too much, but you could probably join the dots.
Even Barclays, the official account, put out some bits over the weekend, trying to get in with the audience, and then someone put, can we stop with all this, and can we just hire someone professional to like do the edits and the graphics and things? And then someone with quite a big name related to who you're talking about was like, oh, give over, have a laugh. And it's like, yeah, but it's not what that account's for. It's not a meme account. It's not a troll. Like it's meant to be a proper professional account. You can still be funny and be professional.
And Arsenal are very good at that with their social media and player challenges and things like that, and letting the players market themselves. Chelsea are very good at that. Some of the Sunderland are very good at that with the post game filming the players come off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you look at it, and then you look at it and go, okay. But after we've had this rant, shall we move on to some positive social media stuff?
We'd love to.
And praise one of the great fans of the WSL, one of the most wonderful people. The Chelsea fans are going to lose their minds in the chat now, and probably everybody else. Basil.
I started a message from earlier. There we go. Did anyone see the clip where Millie Bright gave Basil a Chelsea quote after the Everton game? It made my heart fill with joy. Yes, that moment, because Basil, I mean, even if you haven't been physically to a Chelsea match, you will have heard Basil on the street.
Everyone knows who Basil is. It's just the one name. And one of the cool things about social media is now we're starting to see teams have these super fans and being emphasized as the positive thing, like Basil for Chelsea, like Maria was, rest in peace, for Arsenal, like little Archie is for Aston Villa.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
these super fans are almost becoming celebrities themselves, but for good reasons. And I think it's a measure, like you say, that the response to that clip was just people from all over the league going, Basil, like he is a hero. Like, I remember Mark from Durham, who does the press, said, we travelled down on a wet Wednesday night from Durham, and the first person we saw, you know, he's the face of Chelsea women. The first person we saw was him dancing outside the club shop, welcoming people individually, and having people come and take pictures with him when they recognised him and stuff. And he has time for everybody.
Yeah, and that's the best thing. And I don't know if any Chelsea fans in the chat know this, but why was he given a court? I love that he was.
See, this is where Rosie's internet has deprived us, because Rosie would definitely know. I think, and I'll probably be corrected, but I think it's because he turns up with flags and a Chelsea shirt and everything else, but he doesn't wear a coat because he's got all the Chelsea regalia. And
maybe then.
So Millie, he's now got Millie Bright having the Chelsea warm-up coat. Like one of the big Chelsea puffer jackets with the badge and everything.
Yeah.
So it can all be Chelsea branded.
Yeah. No, it's a lovely moment though, because, you know, he's always there, isn't he? Through thick and thin, he's there. And that's what a true fan is, in the sense of you follow your team through thick and thin, you know, home and away if you can. And just to be a positive influence, a positive force in the game, you know, that's what we want. None of this negativity, horrendous stuff online. You know, that's what the game's about.
I did read as well her Game 2 printed interview, because I believe, and I may be wrong here, they printed an interview with someone named Jeannie, who I believe is Basil's partner. I don't know. I got the impression from the way her Game 2 was selling, you know, the woman past the guy everyone loves, Basil. This is Jeannie, the woman behind, you know, and so you kind of think, okay, is Jeannie Basil's partner? But anyway, the way she was talking about him, you know, you can just see the warmth and the love there, because there was a clip of him saying, when Chelsea fans break out, you know, we love you, Basil, we do, and when opposition fans do, it just makes me so happy, and it makes him so happy as well. It's lovely to see him just light up,
getting recognised for the right reasons, and that's why we want to celebrate him tonight. So there we go. So Basil, this segment was for you, mate. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Now then,
coat. And if you can get any of us a coat off Millie Bright, then you know, put in a word for the podcast, won't you?
Yeah, because it gets a bit chilly. It gets a bit chilly in our offices as we're as we're doing it. Now we've come on to the WSL, and look, all of the home teams won this week. Interestingly enough, now as everyone's seen, Rosie has left us, but it's okay because she sent me her notes, which I'm not gonna lie.
Are you gonna read them out verbatim? Like,
yes, I am.
Here we go.
So the first one, because of course Chelsea fan, I gave a Chelsea 2, Everton 1. Now for me personally, I was gutted Everton didn't get a point, because they deserved it. They really, really deserved it. But darn that Lauren James. Right. So these are Rosie's notes. I have them here. Verbatim. Okay. Chelsea versus Everton. Awful, capital letters. Defending, leading to Everton goal. No predicting that, but still. Classic Ramirez goal under pressure. Gorgeous assist from Jojo. Awful, capital letters, at corners. Needed someone like LJ who can create something out of nothing. There you go.
I love the way you pause just to let the words of wisdom from
Let's
Rosie
let it
just
sink
sit.
in, and to let you know, I was changing to a new bullet point. I thought that was good. So that was Chelsea Everton 2-1.
It's like interpretive poetry. Can we just have that? Wait, just a poetry jam. Just Rosie just like
Just
gazing.
Rosie doing haikus.
Yes. Rosie's haiku of the week. She can just pick a game and do a haiku every single week.
It made me so mad. I could not. No, we can.
Gargo is. Yes, it does work. The middle one. Everton push Chelsea. No. Everton work hard. Gargo is fucking mustard. Chelsea get
the win.
away with one. Yeah, there we go.
Oh.
But yeah, that's the technical term.
The
technical term, just like just about the technical term for Kelly Gargo. Kelly Gargo from now on is fucking mustard. There you go.
Jeez, what a signing. We said it at the time, but as soon as she got into her stride, she was phenomenal. So just to add a bit more to that then. So if we look at the stats, I mean, Everton, 51st minute, Kelly Gargo. Some commentators are saying Kelly Gugo, which reminds me, if anyone watched Miranda's mum, when she called her Lady Gaga, that's all I can hear whenever a commentator says Gago. So, yeah, 51st minute, and he just thought, can Everton do this? Can they? 1-0? Yes, good. I mean, away from home, they were at Kingsmeadow 2 weeks in a row. But, of course, Myra Ramirez does Myra Ramirez things. 62nd minutes, gets the equaliser. Then Lauren James finding a bit of magic in the 93rd. Some stats then. I mean, looking at the stats, you thought, Chelsea were going to win. 18 shots, but only 5 on target. 18 shots, 5 on target, 71% possession, 689 passes, 10 corners. Okay, so pretty high stats. Everton, 2 shots, 2 on target, so 100%, 290 passes, and 0 corners. So again, looking at the stats, but stats don't tell you the game. Everton, no, I wish. Chelsea look like they should definitely have won that a lot sooner than they did. However, there was a bit of controversy because there was a foul in the build-up to the goal. Paul, did you see this?
Which the Lauren James goal or the?
Yes, I believe the Lauren James goal, where essentially, oh God, I can't remember who it was now. They went up for the ball, but then was it Ramirez? They just kind of went down a bit first, and then.
I'm one of those people who thinks fouls in a lead up to a goal.
Yeah.
No, sod off. If it's like,
okay.
If it's more than about 10 seconds before the goal, like if it's in.
Tony's on it. James and Mielder. There we go.
Then it's not a thing.
No.
I think if someone wins a ball with a dubious tackle and then 40 seconds later there's a goal, sorry, but that's not a foul in the build-up. A foul in the build-up is a foul that directly leads to the shot.
Okay. Yeah. Fair.
Because how far back do you go with this? How far back do you start complaining?
Ball game.
Like,
from the first whistle.
It's like someone was offside in the build-up.
Mm.
Yeah, but no, they weren't offside in the build-up. Firstly, and again, Sky Blues versus Man United. But no, if it's not a direct thing, then stop complaining about it. And you're kind of clinging on to it. And I don't, fouls don't get given all the time. So
yeah, as we're saying,
if you try to legislate for fouls in the build-up, then
Yeah. And as you know, Matthew said, both games Everton took the lead, but the mark of champions, not playing well but getting the win. Lauren James with a superb strike. Yeah. Because that's what Chelsea always say, don't they? Even if they play it ugly, they always get the win. They always find a way, which they do. Can't take that against them. But that that was strangely Chelsea 2, Everton 1. We're going to come to me next. It's my turn to talk about Man United. So that'll give Paul some time off. And unfortunately, they did win 3-1 against Crystal Palace. I so wanted Palace to get something. Every week I want them to get something. But this game was all about Elizabeth Turland. Our friend Liz, what a player. I have to say though, Maya Sari in goal, she didn't have a good game, bless her. Nightmare start, goal kick, immediately intercepted by Clinton, passed through to Maya Zawa in the middle, then straight through to Turland, who took a touch and found the back of the net. And you just thought, yeah, okay, this is how it's going to go for the rest of the game. Now, we've always talked about how good Turland is and that she just needed to, as soon as she got to United, we were worried, weren't we? You know, is she going to get played? Is she going to get played the way is best for her? But that game, something just clicked and she was having a cracker. On fire, as I've put in my notes, different to Rosie's awful. She had one attempt saved and another rebound off the crossbar, and you were just waiting for that second one to go in. However, there was hope. There was hope in this game. Against the run of play, just before half-time, Palace found the equaliser. Ashley Weirden, who's having, again, a great season, passed through to Woodham, who had lots of space on the left, delivered a lovely long ball over the top to meet the feet of Gael, who was able to beat Fallon Tullis-Joyce, and we don't say that very often, do we, at the near post. So 1-1 at half-time, we thought, ooh,
that was only the 7th goal Man United have conceded all season. And
so
Palace,
that just shows you.
Palace went through them like nice through butter. That was like you say, that was a gorgeous move.
Such a nice build-up. And that's the thing, isn't it? It'd be, you know, if Palace do go down, there are some lovely bits of football there that you just wish, you know, if they could just to keep up and develop that because they are very, very good. In the second half then, more mix-ups of Palace at the back. It just, again, wasn't really clicking. They narrowly escaped yet another Turland attempt. And Palace, again, lucky not to concede after, I don't know if you saw it, there was a massive scramble at the goal mouth. Maya Sari spilled the ball initially, and it looked like it was never going to end. It came out to Ella Toon, Leah Galton, everyone, before finally it came back in. She got her hands to it, and she could calm it down for a little bit. Now, the 64th minute then, and Palace's luck starts to run out. Another wayward goal kick and an awfully heavy back pass from Palace fell to the feet of Turland. You can't do that. Once more to put United back in front. However, it was United's turn for their own miscommunication soon after between Fallon Tullis-Joyce and the defenders. There was a mix-up. She came out too far, missed the ball. It looked like Palace could have been back in. However, Myla Tissier does what she does best there with a last-minute goal line clearance. I think it came off her thigh as she stretched to get it to keep Palace out. Now, Celine Bizet's, another signing this season, came close to getting a name on the score sheet, but her header went just wide. And you thought, is there more in this game, or is it just going to keep being too high, too wide? But the final nail in the coffin came from a United free kick taken beautifully by Ella Toon. The ball curved towards the wall, and Clinton was the highest to rise from it as she turned the ball into the back of the net, making it 3-1 to United. So yeah, you can't knock the players at all. And Palace again had some really lovely moments, but it just wasn't enough, unfortunately, to get anything from it. But if we have a look at the results, before I do that, if Palace can only figure out how not to die after 60 minutes to have a shot at staying up, and it's around that 70, 60, 70 that we see some teams drop off, don't they? Because maybe they don't have the depth to come off the bench. And yeah, as Matthew rightly says, I was going to say that takes time and experience, which, they've only been here, 6 months? So it's gonna take time to do that. But yeah, Palace goal was incredibly good.
I do enjoy that there is already discourse going on about Grace Clinton and Ella Toone, and journalists are starting to write that Grace Clinton could be the person to step in for Georgia Stanway for England if she plays for Man United. It's like she won't though. Do you know why she won't play for Man United? Because Hini Miyazawa is there, and Hini Miyazawa is actually a number 8.
Yes.
Like, as opposed to someone desperately being shoehorned in there, who was actually a number 10. Because only one player can play in the same team. One of them can play in that team at the time.
Yeah, and it's, who's going to make way. And as we're seeing, it's, not really going to be Ella Toone, is it? But if we have a look, United, I mean, they are second, but the gap between them and Chelsea, I think we did, I don't know if we did a bit of maths last time or if that was on Monday.
If Chelsea beat Man United in the return leg, they've won the title.
Yeah. Because
there are, we can try and do maths now. There are 8 games left, which is 24 possible points.
Yeah.
So, if 24 possible points, so they need, but with each game there is a swing of a possible 3 points at least. So if they match all their results for the rest of the season, Chelsea will be champions with 3 games left. But if there are swings either way, then it can be much quicker. I'm sure because from ice hockey there's the things like the playoff calculator where you literally have every single game you have the margins change and you know how many points Chelsea will need to win the title.
But, yeah. Tony, thank you. Yes, it was on Monday. If anyone watched Awful Woeful, we had a bit of a maths chat about what could possibly win. But Matthew said that we can win the WSL away at Man United if we continue on this run. Winning the WSL away United twice in a row. And that's the thing. The Big Four, they just can't drop points, especially against each other, because then that gap.
The earliest they can win the title is 4 games time.
Wow.
The earliest they can win it is with 4 games left, basically. Or possibly even 5 or 6 if Man United win. But because the teams play each other, there's no way Man United, Arsenal, and Man City will all lose on a weekend, probably.
Yeah.
So, and they all still need to play each other. But
yeah, let's just hope the relegation battle isn't decided by then as well. Let's hope that keeps.
But it is funny watching the media desperately trying to sell the WSL title race when it's really just okay. When are Chelsea going to confirm it?
Did you see that video when they asked Alessia Russo about the title race, and she had to try and scrabble together an answer like, "Yeah, we're trying to win what we can," and they can't win it.
Well, they can mathematically, but
if something goes diabolically wrong with Chelsea.
They will be.
Okay, so Arsenal on 30. Yeah,
Arsenal on 30. So there are 8 games left. They will be out of the title race in 3 games' time if they keep matching Chelsea's results. So there'll be a month and a half of nothing. And I actually hope Chelsea win it as early as possible because it will be really, really funny to watch certain sections of the media desperately suddenly care about the other 8 teams.
Be nice.
As they desperately try and find angles. And then it'll move to the race for the Champions League. It'll be like, right, okay, so it'll be which one of Manchester United, Arsenal or Man City going? Great, okay.
Yeah, and it just, the bottom half of the table are where the cool kids are anyway. But yeah, but you look realistically between, Villa in 10th and let's say Liverpool in 7th, 5 points in it. Like the order of it, no one knows. But hopefully, as a
the WSL is a farmers league. Like it genuinely is at this point. There is a desperate pretense that it's not a farmers league, but Chelsea this year have turned it into a farmers league because there was all the talk of, maybe with Emma Hayes going, and Emma Hayes, it was close last year, and Chelsea have just gone, right, we're not letting that happen again. And Sonia Von Pastor said, right, we're not letting that happen again.
It's just mad that in the same league we've got 40 and 6. It just, because we know Chelsea have put the investment in and they've put the money in, and that's why they're dominating, because they're doing all the right things. It's just such a shame that other clubs aren't.
Well, I just find it funny because for when Arsenal did it, everybody was like, leaders of women's football and all this sort of stuff. Chelsea have now taken the WSL to another level with the first £1 million player.
Yeah.
First £1 million transfer in women's football, and bringing Kira Walsh in the same transfer window. That's taken with, and they're being linked with Sophia Wilson. Excuse me. That was very, very funny. That was another thing we should have mentioned in social media, actually. Sophia Wilson.
Go on then. We'll do it quickly,
Sophia Wilson absolutely annihilating one of those really annoying troll accounts who apparently decided that her deciding to use her married name rather than continuing to call herself Sophia Smith meant she was no longer iconic. At which point her response to this was, why the fuck do you care? Basically, like, go outside. Go and get a hobby.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with you.
But the worst thing about it is that all the replies were, "Oh my god," to this troll. "Oh my god, you got quote tweeted by Sophia Smith." It's like lionizing it. And again, this is the kind of desperate.
As if they think they're going to get that attention, they're going to keep poking it more.
Yeah, this is the desperate soundbitiness that is being fed. What we're gonna I'm gonna have to chop all this up so it looks like we talked about this about 30 minutes ago, isn't it? But
no, it's just wildly, like, if you are a fan of a player, like a genuine fan, if you don't bombard them with stuff, you will sing their praises and you will do all, like, there's a way to support someone without it being weird. Like, let's just put it that way.
I'm just going to my proudest possession as a Coventry City fan, a Leicester City shirt, but it's Shannon O'Brien's. So
exactly, and we'll proudly display it for all to see.
But like you say, Arsenal fans always talk about, we won 47 trophies in a row, and Chelsea will never sing that and all that bollocks. But now people are like, is it boring because Chelsea are actually winning things every season? It's like, yes, because I'd rather watch Chelsea playing the football that they do, and while some Chelsea fans are arrogant, as a fan base, it's very much, we're loving being this good. It's like the face of the Chelsea fan base now is Basil. The face of the Arsenal fan base is Tim Stillman, who makes homophobic jokes and writes loads of stuff. So that's the kind of difference that we're dealing with here. It's like, and I saw you kind of wince then, but that's the kind of thing we're dealing with. It's like, Chelsea are just Chelsea fan base appreciate the fact that they're winning and know how lucky they are. The Arsenal fan base think they still should have a right to be up there.
I think, well, there's cliques in every supporter group, aren't they? There's the ones that genuinely care, like Adam that we had on. He's a fantastic example of what it is to love your club and be a supporter. And but then you've got the other cliques who just do it for social media, and it's Yeah,
Arsenal,
but
Arsenal are the social media favourites, and they are the media favourites, and they are
yes,
they're the golden child with 11 blonde ponytails and half the lionesses and whatever else.
and we'll talk about it in a minute. But the image of the BBC Sport page after Sunday's action,
Oh yes,
where it wasn't Lauren James's last minute goal. It wasn't Buddy Shaw, who we will talk about. I don't know how long this is going to go on tonight, by the way, guys. So if you do have plans, I do apologise. Or early nights. It wasn't any of that. It was Chloe Kelly's returned and she's happy. Top of the page, full banner.
And people are saying it's because Chloe Kelly is more well known. What, they're Bunny Shaw than Lauren James?
And Lauren James. No, absolutely not.
It's because Chloe Kelly is the safe, acceptable face. I almost wanted to say the safe, acceptable middle class face, but it kind of is, because Lauren James has got that edge to her that we've talked about before. You know, she is not a media dream because she's introverted. She's fair. She doesn't say a bunch of stuff. When she does,
she's not in it for the limelight. She's in it to play football.
When she does, she's got that little edge to her. Like, she's got, you know, Chloe Kelly is all smiley and happy and knows the right things to say. Lauren James doesn't have a filter. You know, like when Chelsea beat Arsenal and there was a massive storm because Lauren James said up the Chels into the camera and was accused of swearing. And you'd never see, is that a good role model? You'd never see people like that. She wasn't winning with grace. Behave. And Bunny Shaw, obviously, we know Bunny Shaw isn't English for a start, so you know there's that.
Yeah.
But also, crucially, she is a proud player of colour who doesn't hide it, and is also not apologetic about having rough edges and being, you know, like Myra Ramirez, the kind of battering ram.
Yeah, proper
centre forward.
Yeah, that's the thing, and yeah, so it just shows you media priorities, doesn't it? So that's why we're creating our own. That's why we're doing it, because these things need to be talked about. Something that I wish we didn't have to talk about. Paul, I'm going to come to you next. And I gave you this game because I did not want to talk about it. This was Leicester 3, Villa 0. Try and be nice. But yeah, it just...
if that's Villa for the rest of the season, Villa are in trouble.
Oh, we're in the Championship.
Because Leicester, who, by the
Embarrassing.
way, are the team outside the top four, have conceded the least goals. So, you know, defensively they're strong. They just don't score. Leicester,
they do now.
I'm gonna really make you annoyed. Okay, Leicester haven't. Leicester went through a run of not scoring for nearly a month.
I'm so glad we could help.
And Leicester have scored in the Super League this season 9 goals.
I think I heard this stat. Yeah.
Yeah, they've scored 9 goals. A third of those goals were scored in
at the weekend.
A third of those goals were scored in 20 minutes against Aston Villa. And
you're welcome. Any Leicester fans watching, you are welcome.
Crucially, one of them was scored by Julie Thibault, who is a defender who never scores. And
that
the
was
other
annoying. Yeah.
Was scored by Janice Cayman. The first Janice Cayman goal was a nice one, by the way. But
yeah,
again, when you look at the stats, it's the kind of thing you almost like. Sorry, Leicester were at home, because this was kind of an away smash and grab. Because Leicester outshot Villa 13-12 and had one more shot on target. Possession 70% in favour of Aston Villa away from home.
Yep.
And 85% pass accuracy compared to Leicester's 65% as well. So Leicester were giving the ball away more often.
Yeah.
And yet, 10 corners for Villa as well.
Yeah.
And yet. So.
Just thinking lower as this goes on.
I'm not saying they should be paranoid at Villa Park, but they need an Iron Man of a player to pull them out of the thing. Otherwise, someone will have to be a master of reality and tell them they're going down.
We, interestingly, on the Villa podcast that we're doing on Thursday, I was editing some old ones because as soon as the baby came along, obviously editing came out of my mind. And Emily, who we've had on the show before, she said on the 5th of December, if we've still got 9 points in February, we need to be very, very concerned.
Yes.
We have 10. And yeah. I mean, we are. As a fan base, we're all concerned because we saw against Chelsea, it was only 1-0. That performance, that's what we're expecting. That's what we know the players can do. And then they go out and do that. And you're like, that's Leicester. That should, not saying Leicester are easy to beat at all. They clearly do have their moments. But that should have been a point, at least. And how was that? They didn't show up. There was no fight. There was no nothing. Getting frustrated. And it just, I don't know.
And that's all we can say about it, because we could spend ages turning into them, but it's one of those games where you would hope Natalia Arroyo just says, "Yeah, fuera." We'll forget that one. Like, no more.
Yeah, she did have a good post match. Actually, she did say at the end of the day, she didn't do the right things to get the best out of her players. She didn't instruct them right. And in turn, they didn't know what she wanted. So she was very aware that it just didn't work, which is good. You want your manager to acknowledge that. But it very much seems like... but it very much seems like they're very much like, we're going to build in the summer and it's going to be great. And it's like, yeah, but what if we don't make it to the summer?
Yeah.
What about this period now? Like, we are so close to the bottom. A couple of games, because Palace are very capable of picking up points.
Yeah. It's
not like Portsmouth, bless them, like we talked about earlier, where, chances are slim. Palace can do it. Palace can pick up points. And, is this going to be to Villa's detriment? And if it is, we're going to lose the team pretty much. No, Rachel Denny's not going to go down the championship, is she?
Well, she might.
Yeah. Would she?
She might.
She might. Pigs make tough life.
Just a retirement year. Or she might have
She's
money
not
thrown
that
at her.
old.
London City might throw money at her if they come up.
Oh, God. Probably. She did. We did it, especially with Bristol Rovers players, Laura and George. They were phenomenal. And apparently when the ref kept calling for offside, she's like, "Ref, I've got a wedding to pay for." So we need to win. We need this prize money. And it just made us laugh. So, hey, if Michelle Kang throws money at her, who knows? Who knows indeed. Right. We're going to talk about another game now where another team didn't turn up. This was Arsenal 5, Spurs 0 in the North London derby. And it's just, I know they put a lot of emphasis on the North London derby, but there's not that much in it, is it? Like, there's more riding on like Arsenal Chelsea because they're two higher class of teams, shall we say?
It's a media manufactured rivalry in the women's game because it doesn't have the history, and it doesn't have
in the men's game. It's a moment, isn't it, in the men's game? But in the women's, not yet anyway. Now, this made us laugh. When they put the highlights up, they even created a 15-minute extended highlight video. Don't know if people knew this. Everyone else is lucky to get about 3 minutes. They had a 5-minuter and a 15-minuter for this match because it was clearly that good. But no, so let's have a run through then. So the first goal came after just 15 minutes when Kyra Cooney-Cross, who had a very good game, robbed the ball from Rasso. Bless her. I don't know if you saw this, she kept the ball in, but she slipped off the pitch and there was no one near her to be able to help her out. Yeah. So ball got robbed and the crossed it into the box for Russo, but the deflection actually came off Claire Hunt and went down to no goal. And that was the beginning of the end for Spurs. They just completely capitulated. Nothing went right. Again, loose passes, poor defence. Molly Bartrip did not have a good game. Her moment she'll want to forget was when she didn't look before passing back to the keeper, and Caitlin Ford was just on it. She was right there. Now, mixed with a very confident Arsenal, it just wasn't the day for them. It was a one-way street, and it was just a case of how many Arsenal could put past Spurs. Beth England had, she was in her defender era, made some very good blocks. Shout out to Liza Kopp, though. 8 huge saves. I don't know how she did some of them to keep the scoreline down. It could have been much, much worse. Stats, if anyone's interested. Arsenal had 27 shots. 12 were on target compared to 6 shots and 2 on target for Spurs. And this continued. So 35th minute, Arsenal found the back of the net again, this time from a thunderous strike from Mariona Caldente. Who else were very used to seeing that from her. And went into halftime 2-0. So you thought, okay, 2-0, just hold it. You could try and get one back, but just hold it. Arsenal had other ideas, though, because start of the second half, Arsenal was straight out the gate wanting more. Russo taking a shot moments after the restart. In the 51st minute then, so again, not long after, Friedel and Hudson-Monum shoots. The ball takes another Spurs deflection, sends Kopp just the wrong way to make it 4-0. Have I missed a goal? Hang on. 3. No, good.
No, you're not. You're all right. You haven't missed Emily Fox.
No, I haven't got Emily Fox yet. I like to do chronologically. So season total for 4-0. Another big talking point, as we mentioned earlier, Chloe Kelly made her second debut for the club as she replaced Caitlin Ford in the 61st minute. Now, in the 90th minute, though, this was the big moment. Arsenal was showing no signs of stopping as Emily Fox received the ball just outside of the area to chance of shoot from all 56,000 that were there. And she did it beautifully, and her first for the club, I believe. And, of course, it was the final nail in the coffin for Spurs, with the whistle blowing shortly after. And yeah, they didn't show up for Derby Day. And, that's the day that you need to do it. And, Beth England even said on socials after, fans deserved much more. They're sorry, and they'll go again after the break. So you want your captain to acknowledge it, but it was...
Legit Thundy B for Emily Fox, though. Absolute legit.
Is it official Thundy B status?
Official Thundy B status. Hit from outside the area, dead straight into the top corner.
Yeah.
Down after ricocheting. Didn't quite ricochet back out, so harsh judges like Danny would possibly quibble on that. But I am prepared to give that one Thundy B status, just as I'm prepared to give Shannon Cook Thundy B status rather than Floaty L status. So two Thundy Bs in a weekend. There you go.
2 Thundy Bs. Get the klaxon on for those. Tony's just said that all the Australian Arsenal fans said after the game were screwed if we're going to rely on Claire Hunt and Lana Kennedy for their centre-back pairing. Hey, you never know. People do different things for their club and country. We'll wait to see. And Matthew agrees. Yeah, if it wasn't for Kopp, it could have been at least 7 or 8. And yeah, you could just tell by the players' reactions. They knew it was not not a good one for them. But yeah, it was just a shame that a lot of it, like we said, was Chloe Kelly's come home and she's so happy, and it's great that she's happy. Don't get us wrong, but there were so many other good things to talk about in that match. Paul, question: do we think he is getting the sack at the end of the season? Robert Villahan?
With Spurs owners, yes, probably. He shouldn't because of projects and.
That's the thing. He's got a vision, hasn't he? Like a longer term. It's just if they believe in that. If it looks like it's working.
Who'd you bring in? This is the trouble.
Well, yeah.
You bring in another untried WSL manager, or you bring in a retread who's not done very well. And
that's the thing. Do you take the risk when it is a game of keeping up?
With Spurs ownership, they probably flipping hire Willie Kirk or something equally horrific. Yeah, like
Phil Neville.
Danny's not here for that one.
We've got the running joke now. People in the chat.
I love how everyone's like, Phil Neville is available. We believe in Phil Neville. Say his name and he appears. I'm going to record singing that. We'll just play that in the background.
In fact, we'll just clip that now. If he ever does get announced, that the pod will go out. We'll have to film Danny's reaction.
We'll have to film Danny's reaction. We'll have to film Danny doing a fake press conference. Like we can do a green screen.
Yes.
Like Danny doing the announcement, and like the week after we'll interview him after. Like Danny, so your client Phil Neville has been announced as a.
And he's going, Phil, you come out now. Come
on. Danny, they're like, obviously, I'm sad to lose Phil Neville from his current state in my wardrobe because, I was getting used to having him around. But, like.
I suppose I'll let him go. Now, let's go on. We've only got two left. We can make it, guys. We can make it before midnight. So this next one, again, we're coming to Rosie's phenomenal match reports. And this is from Man City 4, Liverpool 0. Man City 4, Liverpool 0. Are we ready for the delights?
Yes.
I'm going to have a baby joining us.
Oh, Toby.
Hello, Bob. Hello. Hey.
Hello, Toby.
Can you get through the report with me? Yeah? Can you get through? Oh, you're sleepy, aren't you? Yes. Okay. Let's see what Rosie said. So.
She's looking at everybody. Look. Hello, Toby.
Oh, I've just been sick everywhere. That's what she thinks of the podcast.
That is award-winning content. There you go. What do you think of Liverpool's defending?
What? Oh, she just missed it. What do we think of Tottenham? That's. I know.
Yeah, there you go.
I know.
Yeah, Toby.
Right. So. Yeah, we're going to be good. But yeah, that's Paul. Say hello. Right, okay. So, match report is as follows. Bunny Shaw Black Power celebration. Yes. We've already kind of talked about it, but the moment when she just raised that fist into the air. I know. Hello. Hey. When she raised the fist into the air, you were just like, yes, she's back.
Have you seen the picture Man City took of that one as well?
Yeah, do you want to talk about it?
There's a picture that Man City took of that's on the other side of the barrier. Obviously, she's celebrating in front of it, and she's just silhouetted against the lights of the Joy the amazing lights here at the Joy Stadium. But the photographer has caught her arm up, head down in proper.
Oh, that's phenomenal. In
proper Black Power pose, which, for the few of you who may not be aware, was very much an intentional reference to a very famous incident in the 1968 Mexico City Olympics, when two Black American athletes, who were called John Carlos and Tommy Smith, who it's bad that I can't remember what event they won medals in, but anyway, they were both on the podium. And during the playing of the American national anthem, they raised one fist in the air with one black glove as well, which Bunny had on because she had her gloves on. and stood there with heads bowed, and that is a Black Power salute, which obviously in 1968 during the Civil Rights Movement was incredibly powerful. 2 Black American men making that salute and that statement. And Bunny, clearly aware of her history, decided to show the racists exactly what she thought of it by making this proud demonstration of Black pride and Black, saluting. And I can talk about it, but obviously I'm very obviously a white person. But to see the response from people of color, like for example, our friend Crunk from Shades of Blue, and all those people, just the sheer joy in the way they responded. Thank you, Graham. The 200 meters. There we go. That is why we have the audience interaction. But yeah, just to see the response and the number of responses that was just like, yes, Bunny. It felt like something much bigger than the game, didn't it? It was a proper.
Yeah, it was definitely her moment to, literally raise her fist, stick her fingers up at everyone who's ever thrown any bit of abuse or doubted her for any reason.
It was a Black woman standing proudly in her blackness. It was a full on,
yeah,
I am here and I am taking up space and you will not beat me kind of thing.
Yeah, this is mine. This position is mine. I'm going to show you what I can do. Yeah,
and to the credit as well, Sky Commentary didn't mention it, and I did wonder, and I did post if the media would focus on it, because women's football media has a bit of a checkered history when it comes to recognising such things. But Tom Gary, friend of the pod, straight on there, with the historical context. Also Emma Smith in the BBC live text about it as well.
Yeah.
And in the reporting afterwards as well, I believe they made in the headline, it was, Buddy Shaw celebrates with a Black Power salute.
Yeah.
It wasn't at the front because, Chloe Kelly, but it was still there.
But at least it was there and it was mentioned. Yeah, it wasn't thrown under the rug, was it? But yeah, we just needed to take a moment for that because that was phenomenal for her, and for the applause as well, for people to show that they support her as fans. So yeah, that was Rosie's first bullet point, but of course we were going to talk about it anyway. Second one, Liverpool should have had a goal early on. Yep.
Yeah.
Yamashita makes slightest contact, W ball, so no pen, with ball. So no pen. Really dominant from City. Awful marking. Second Bunny goal, wow.
Yeah, that was an amazing volley. Like, it was a full-on flick up turn and lashed the ball in.
Yeah, and just again the skill that takes to be able to do it. So wow indeed, Rosie. Yes. Jill Rhodes slowly getting back on form. I think she's been doing all right, actually. She's because again, Jill scored, didn't she? And it wasn't I think that's the sign of it. Again, I know we talk about it with Chelsea, but with certain players, just they know how to get the ball into the back of the net. It doesn't have to be technically perfect. It doesn't have to, be wonder goal of the season. It just has to do the job. And her little flick on to actually get it in that bottom corner was really, really, really skillful. Gracie Pryor, though, can we just take a minute? Because that goal had no right going in at all. Did you manage to see that one, Paul?
I did. It was one of those where it was like, did she mean it? And
Rosie has put in her notes, defo meant to be a cross.
Yeah, I think it was her slight surprise when it went in as well. It was like, I've scored! Like,
and what a way to mark your debut in the league as well. What a way to do it. Rosie's last bullet point is Liverpool had fight at the end but couldn't do it.
Yeah, but by then they were already 5-0 down, so it was kind of
I know. And you just think like Matt Beard as well. Every goal that went in, you could just see him getting visibly redder on the sideline because things weren't, going their way at all, were they? But there were moments in that match where you thought
they missed Liv Smith hugely.
Yeah, they really did.
Very obvious how much they missed Olivia Smith. As Toby is eloquently pointing out.
Did they miss her? Did they miss Liv Smith? Yes, they did, didn't they? Yes. You're going to tell them. Tell Kirsty Stoney she needs to look after her. I know. But yeah, no, it was a dominant win, wasn't it? We're going to have a look. This one. No, we're looking at the points now. Look. Oh, can you see the points? Oh, we can see the points. Yeah, so Liverpool now in 7th. Again, only 1 point between them and West Ham and only 2 behind Spurs. It's just that part of the table. I know we're talking about, obviously, the Champions League groups, but even that mid part, there's a lot to fight for there, isn't there?
Imagine if there was a Europa League or that second tier competition was happening.
I'd love it because then those teams that aren't Champions League teams, but they're good enough to not be at the bottom, it's extra exposure and extra practice. I'd personally love that, to be honest.
4th to 6th, and then that'd be interesting then.
Yeah, because then what's at the minute? City, Brighton, and Spurs going in.
With Liverpool, West Ham, and Everton all within a couple of points. Yeah. And even Leicester if they go on a run.
Yeah. And that would make it more interesting, wouldn't it? Instead of, we know Chelsea's won. We know these 3 teams have got Champions League. We know that team's getting relegated. So what happens to the rest? So yeah, that would be great. In the future, we can what's the word? Campaign. We can campaign for that in the future. Now, last one then. Paul, come back to you for this one. This was West Ham 3, Brighton 1. And I think we said last week, didn't we? Brighton probably should have won this one. But no, it was West Ham who really took the most of their chances, didn't they? Took us through this one.
Brighton are in free fall. Like genuinely, they're just... You're looking at them going, what is up with Brighton? Yeah. West Ham outshot them 17-9. West Ham had 17 shots. Wow. That's with 33% possession as well. Seems to be a bit of a theme with much less possession, but much more willingness to shoot.
Yeah.
And they took the lead through Shakira Martinez, whose hips didn't lie, as she put one into the bottom corner. And then Nikita Paris fired back immediately, of course, celebrating her return to the England squad with a goal.
Nikita Paris, we just need a minute to just, so well deserved that call up.
She keeps doing what she's doing, Nikita Paris.
Yeah.
And then Brighton just didn't really build on it. No, early in the season, you'd have expected them to build on it, but this time round, they just didn't.
No.
And second half, Rico Wecki doing Rico Wecki things and scoring. She's been vital for West Ham since she signed last season. And speaking of vital, one of the most underrated strikers in the league, Viviane Asseyi, with a penalty on 68 minutes for West Ham. And there you were. And West Ham then just kind of killed the game. And Brighton huffed and puffed a lot, but didn't really do anything. And
that was a sneeze.
I worry for Brighton a bit. If Brighton had hit this form earlier in the season, you'd be starting to talk about free falling and looking over their shoulders. I think they've got enough now to not really have to worry. But the honeymoon is over for Dario Vidosic, and he has some work to do.
And like we said, with how they started, this certainly isn't how we thought they would go. I know. No one thought it. Nope. No, they didn't. So yeah, but Brighton, as we said, I know. Fifth. But it's just that gap, isn't it, between Brighton and City is just there's no catching them up, is there? Well, unless things go horribly wrong.
Yeah, it's Brighton are just kind of Brighton are safe unless something really horrific happens. With a 12-point gap, Spurs are probably safe. Liverpool 11 points, it'd take a lot. West Ham. Sorry, folks, to the Villa fans in the chat, but I think that you're now looking at Leicester, Villa, and Crystal Palace in that relegation dogfight. I think Everton may have just about pulled themselves out of it, and Leicester are very close to pulling themselves out of it.
Yeah, I think Everton have got enough about them now with that new firepower they brought in to do something. And look who Villa have got next.
Yeah.
Everton, yay. But the last time we were at Villa Park was the most we've looked at home at Villa Park. So you can only hope and pray. So if United can beat Leicester, that'd be lovely. City can beat Spurs, that's fine. Liverpool can beat Palace, yeah, lovely. And yeah, it's just again, you don't want to be that team that relies on other results, but what Villa are going to have to at this point.
I think Palace beat Liverpool.
Do you know? I mean, taking my Villa hat off as an issue, I would love Palace to beat Liverpool. I think it's going to be a great game because Palace never play badly, do they? Oh, okay.
And I also think Leicester City make life interesting for Man United because best defense outside the top four.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, it's going to be a good one, isn't it? However, of course, this isn't this week; it's next week because we've got some internationals, haven't we, coming up? So the first ones run today, actually. Canada played their match in the Pinatar Cup as I think Scotland won it last year. I think they went to do theirs. But we've got friendlies going on. We've got Nations League, of course, going on. And remember, Nations League, every point matters because at the end of these match days, this point and the top two of League A, they get automatic qualification for the World Cup in 2027. Ultimately, that's where we're going for. So every point does count. Now, with this one, so we fly. I say we as if we're on the plane. England are going to fly to face Portugal on Friday. That's our first one. Kickoff at 7:45. And then we welcome Spain next Wednesday. So on the pod, we're going to have a bit of a live watch along. That'd be quite nice. Yes.
Watching them lose to Spain again live. Probably.
Do you think... I think we've got more of a chance against Portugal. Portugal don't make it easy, but I think there's more of a chance there. But yeah, do we think Spain is still too strong at the minute?
I hope Millie Bright goes soon, Mappy Leon.
Well, Mappy doesn't get called up for the national team.
Oh, of course, no, because she's
because she's against the
she's against all discrimination and.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? But yeah, so she won't be there. But I'm sure she could go through Carmona or any of the other ones. Athenia, she can go through her. That's fine. But yes, it's going to be an interesting mix. I'm more excited for the other ones. I think Wales going into it are going to have some confidence. They play Italy, I believe.
Wales are going to be fun in this Nations League.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. And also, Carla Ward, of course, taking over Republic of Ireland, and they are playing Turkey. So there you go. But yeah, there's loads on. So it's hard to find if you don't know what you're looking for. But if you do type in women's football friendlies, women's football international friendlies, something like that, fixtures,
You'll find a load of them.
then they should all come up. Or if you want to be more specific,
Villa Sabstangelo playing for Canada today, by the way.
What? Sorry.
Villa Sabstangelo playing for Canada today, by the way.
Yes, Sab started. Dree came on, I believe, in the 61st minute, building her minutes up. She didn't she didn't feature for Villa at all. She wasn't on the bench or anything, but we think she went out to camp early for that one. But yeah, Dree getting her fitness back. Emma saying Dree scored. She didn't score. It was Julia Grosso who scored. But yeah, it was a cracking one. But that finished 1-1 for anyone interested earlier. But yeah, loads of internationals coming up. And we'll keep you updated as and when we can. And I believe that's everything. But while I just try and find this graphic again, Paul, any internationals coming up in particular that you're looking forward to?
See, I am one of the people who's not hugely fussed about internationals outside of actual tournaments. So okay, I'm kind of like, the Women's Nations League for me is just an annoyance that gets in the way of club football. In the same way that with the men it does.
It does feel like we've got a
way to find friendlies interesting.
Yeah.
It's a desperate way to try and make friendlies interesting, is what it is.
I suppose it's better that they're competitive rather than like facing Luxembourg and winning 20-0 like we did a few years ago. Like at least it's for something. There's a reason for it.
It's made more interesting, but like you look at the games, and obviously Scotland versus Austria is going to be interesting as a second tier game, I think. Denmark versus Sweden, Scandi Derby.
That'd be good. Yeah.
I think Sweden will have enough in that. I don't know what Tony thinks, but I think Sweden will have enough in that one. Of course, the big crunch match that is Luxembourg versus Kazakhstan.
Well, of course, yes.
But
one we're all looking forward to.
In seriousness, Netherlands versus Germany.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
On Friday.
Yes.
That'll be and France versus Norway. You know, those are the games you look at and go, they're 2025 Euros.
Yeah.
Knockout games waiting to happen.
We should do like a Twitter space, shouldn't we? And just do a live watch along of all these different matches, and do a what's it called, like a soccer Saturday proper. Everyone on different screens watching.
Everyone on different screens watching different games.
That'd be so good.
We'd have to start early though, wouldn't we? Because they all kick off at like 7:45.
Well, if you're watching Armenia Liechtenstein, which I know you will be, that's 10:30 in the morning. Then 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6. Latest kickoff 8:10, and that's France Norway.
I mean, to be honest, I'm all about Armenia Liechtenstein. Those are the kind of. But those are the kind of games that are sometimes the most interesting. Like in the men's game, I barely care about England, but I'll always keep an eye on San Marino now they've started getting close to winning things. Like, yeah, absolutely. And I think Sean Misra, if anyone follows him, who we might be getting on the show very soon, he was saying Gibraltar, I believe, have got their first ever proper competitive match in the women's game, which is really cool. So yeah, it's all these stories, isn't it, of like new teams coming into it and just discovering more than just England and just the Lionesses. Like other good football is out there. Absolutely. Right then. It has been a mammoth one tonight. Thank you so much, everyone who is still watching and still listening. We really, really do appreciate all the interaction. And for just listening to me and Paul have a chat, really. Started off with 4 of us and ended just the 2. But we wouldn't have it any other way, of course. Now, if you would like to follow us, if you don't already, remember, it's not just us on a Wednesday talking about women's football. The Premier League show is on a Tuesday at 8:30, and Lower League is tomorrow night
on at 8:30 as well. Now, on X or Twitter, we are at Absolute Ball Pod, YouTube at Absolute Football Podcast, and the same on Twitch. TikTok, we are at Absolute Football Pod. Where am I at? Instagram, Absolute Football Podcast with an underscore this time. Blue Sky, where all the cool, nice people are. We are at Absolute Football, and me and Paul are on there as well. And Facebook, the Absolute Football Podcast. So 3 times a week for all your favourite football knowledge. That's where we are. So do give us a like and follow if you haven't already. Paul, thank you very much. Last 2 standing. So where can people find you if they'd like to find more people?
Prematurely pointing. I pointed too early.
That's a premature point.
That was a premature point. Premature pointulation. You can find me at Paul W Radio on Blue Sky or on Twitter as well, where I've actually mellowed a fair bit, but I'm still on there occasionally ranting. So it's a clang average Twitter account.
It's not worth the hassle sometimes, is it? With all the stuff that we've seen. And yes, if you would like to follow more on me, I'm at Freya T Writes, I think. Across most things, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky as well. I'm on there. If you want to find more Villa things, we'll be having a lovely rant tomorrow night. We are part of the Pride podcast. That's live from 8 o'clock. Or more general football things on the whole 115 yards. So come and check us out as well. So thank you so much to everyone. We'll be back next week with some international discussion for you. So thank you very much. Good evening and good night. Thank you very much.